the thing with me, because I wasn't an industry person. I was just because growing up in Germany, as I said, all of the biggest artists were either Whitney Houston, Lauryn Hill. There was never a thing of you have to market it. If it's dope, it's dope. And if I'll be honest with you, it's actually been one of the reasons why I think I'm still here, because I focus on the product first. Don't worry about it, because once people, sometimes back in the day, you wouldn't know what people look like. You didn't even know how people felt about you. There was no, people couldn't say in your comments, "Oh, I hate your song," or "You're ugly." Remember back in the day, sometimes you wouldn't even know what someone looked like until after it's going to be like, "Oh, this is what they look like." Wow. So and in Germany, so when I came back to England, I was still in that mindset of view of the world of, yo, if you're dope, you're gonna get there. And it did help me get around the world, because I focused on my voice, my message, and my delivery. And then everything else, and what then kept, I think, kind of sometimes sabotaging me is then people wanting to style me or put me into this box of what, you're a soul singer, you're a neo soul singer, you're a garage singer, you're this singer. And I'm like, no, and I realized that I'm a soulful singer songwriter, but I'm not necessarily just one thing. Because even when people say that I'm R&B, I don't think I'm an R&B singer at all, but I can do certain things, but I'm not an R&B singer.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. On the train station.
Hey guys, I want to welcome you to another edition of Halftime Chat. And I actually enjoyed the fact that I'm going back to my old banner, Must Be the Music. And I've got a special guest. As I say, all my guests are special. I've got British soul singer-songwriter Terri Walker. And her debut album came out around 2003, distributed by Def Soul and Mercury Records. And she's had about 4 albums after that. But it'd be good to just to talk to Terri, especially as a British soul singer, just to understand how she's found being a recording artist here in the UK. And she's got a new album called My Love Story. 7 songs on that album. Really love the album. And so we're going to talk about that right now as well. So join me as I talk to Terri, go through the halftime chat.
Yeah.
Yes. So I hope I didn't drag you away from Britain's Got Talent or something like that.
No, God, it's just been a long day today. I've had, meetings, and then I've had a bit of a drink, so I'm a bit.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate the fact that you've obliged to my sort of normal interview slot time. It's early in the day. It's just I've done it once or twice and it just didn't seem to fit. So yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Well, we can start.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I tend to, because we get an audience from around the world. I always like to get to have a geography as to where you're sort of born and raised, and so people can get a sense of where you're from.
Okay, so I was born in England, and at the age of 4, I moved to Germany, and I lived there until I was 18. So I was there for 13 years. But I'm
Wow.
back in now, yeah. And I'm from
Okay.
Jamaican heritage. My parents are Jamaican.
Okay. 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 We're not Russian, which is it's like okay. So born out in England, and then okay. So as before you moved to Germany, it was wow. Goodness, how come?
Oh, because my mum married a German guy. So
Okay.
yeah, my actual name is Chanel Gestettenbauer. So Walker is my biological father's surname, and then Gestettenbauer is my stepfather's name.
Okay. Okay. What part of Germany did you move to?
Regensburg is like an hour away from Munich, like Bavaria.
Okay. Okay. Sprachen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, ich spreche fließend Deutsch, ja.
Wow, goodness. Look, I went to I lived in Hamburg for about 4 years or so when I was a kid.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
moved
Hamburg.
from Liverpool to Hamburg, and my dad was in shipping, and so but
Oh, okay.
yeah, yes, I'm only restricted to counting to 10 now, so that it's gone down the road. But how I know how it was for me. In Hamburg, it was because it was a little bit more of it was a lot of international. It was a big city, lots of
Mhm.
because it was a shipping port, so I didn't feel as isolated. How was
Yeah.
it like for you then, if you're living out in the rural parts of Germany at that young age?
Do you know what, for me, because I spoke, because obviously I went there when I was quite young, so I learned the
Yeah,
language within a month. And the thing is, any country that you go to, once you make the effort to speak the language,
yeah.
people kind of accept you straight away. So I felt very much at home, to the point actually where Germany for me was more like where I felt like I came from more than when I came from England. Because obviously it was my growing up years between 4 to 18. That's when you're kind of shaping yourself, as a teenager and stuff. So Germany was very much a big influence and a big impact on me, and in regards to how I saw myself and where I was in the world. Because Germany, they love their soul, they love their hip hop, they love their reggae, and they were always very quite supportive. And people don't think that, but Germany was really much into Black culture, and I loved it. I still love it now. So yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't okay, so it's because you're speaking the language, not much with discrimination and stuff, especially in the area you were growing up in?
Do you know what? Like literally, there's like one time this old lady was called me the N word, and like go back to your country kind of. And that was like this one older lady that obviously probably was still from the Hitler days, whatever. But otherwise, because remember there was Turkish, there was all these different nationalities
Okay.
that grew up. So everyone was kind of very inclusive. Everyone was kind of like a foreigner there in the sense from their
Yeah.
parents. The kids, us as the kids, we were like the first generation that were there for
Yeah.
us. So yeah.
Wow. Did you watch in Maya and Heidi and
Oh my God, I was talking about that the other day about Heidi. Yes,
Sesame
Heidi
Strasse?
is not German. Heidi is from Switzerland, so that's not German.
They had a German version that I remember watching as a kid, and
Yes,
Maya. I don't know if you ever saw Maya, the little bee. She was,
Maya, Biene Maya. Of
yeah.
course, I love Biene Maya. And Paul McCann. Do you remember Paul McCann?
Yes, I'm sure I do. Yes, I do remember
Yes,
those.
Love the Kid and all that stuff. Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah. And then I remember the Sesame Strasse was their version of Sesame Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
genau.
Okay, yeah. As I said, I loved it. In fact, my family and I we drove from from France. We went last year. We went from France, through Belgium. We went to where did we go to? I think we went straight to Munich. Then
Mm,
saw a friend, spent the night. Then we went to Berlin. Then
yeah,
we went to yeah, we went to Berlin, went to Hamburg. So yeah, and we spent yeah, so we did a two. Well, we drove from the UK all around Europe in 2 weeks. Yeah, so and I just loved it in Germany. So when you were in Germany, then did you get into music then, or what were you into?
well, it's funny because when I was in Germany, when I think about it now, I was kind of like I wasn't very good at school. I was just like very easily distracted. But my mum, she was very much into her music. So one thing that used to happen when I was in Germany, like before I went to bed and I woke up, there was always music playing, and my mum always had like a lot of like vinyl and records. So there was people like Maze, and we had like she'd play soul to soul, but then she would play lot of American stuff like what's her name Nina Simone. Oh, she's like a Khan, but like it was very soulful in my house, but
Oh,
also a
okay.
lot of reggae.
Okay. You said Maze. I'm thinking about wow, Puff Daddy and Maze. I didn't think
No,
he.
Maze,
Oh,
Maze,
Frankie Beverly featuring Maze.
yes,
Okay, okay. I was thinking,
and
okay,
the
like man,
Whispers,
Maze.
yeah, and the Whispers and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And Hall and Oates. My mum was
Yeah,
listening to music.
wow, wow. And so did you gravitate to that, or how were you spending your time?
Well, because me and my mum were very close, so we were literally like, so she was like my best. She used to take me everywhere. Me, and my stepdad, and my mum were always together. So I was like this little adult, really. Um, yeah, but because of her, she introduced me to so much different types of music, and we'd usually be very into a lot of the same things. But then obviously, with the older I got, when you become your own person and you start to like things that she doesn't like, and but she kind of, she gave me the grounding, the foundation of what good and quality music was.
Yeah, but
Mm.
but then when you were out there, then did you ever start singing out
No,
there? Or
not in Germany, no. But when I moved back to, because the thing is, okay, I was living in Germany from the age of 4 till I was 18. I went to boarding school in England from the age of 11 until I was 16. So that's when I decided. That's when I started realizing that because I heard this record by Phyllis Nelson called "Move Closer" when I was like 5 years old. Move closer, move your body real closer, till we. And I remember hearing it, thinking to myself, I want to make people feel how this woman makes me feel. And I remember that at 5 years old.
wow,
And then I was just for Whitney Houston and those different people. So I knew I wanted to sing, but in Germany there was no outlets or places for me to be able to do that. But when I came to England, I went to boarding school. I started having like opera lessons when I was 15.
Wow.
That's when I started. I was classically trained initially. And my teacher, she's like, "Oh, why do you want to sing this secular music? You'd be a great opera singer." I'm like, "No, I want to sing soul music." So when I left boarding school, I didn't ended up kind of like started to go to like showcases and joining choirs and it kind of just kind of started to kind of naturally happen where I just started being in all those different circles and scenarios and just kind of started. Was it like osmosis when you start to kind of absorb different things in?
Yeah.
Happen, yeah.
But okay, I guess people might think, okay, boarding school, that means you're looking to go to university, get a job as a lawyer, something like that. But what was being in boarding school? What was that for you?
This is the one thing my mum said to me. Once I realised what I wanted to do, she said to me, once you pass your GCSEs in England, you can do whatever you want. So I was adamant. So I made sure I got 13 GCSEs from A to C. And then after that, I could do what I wanted. So once I left that, I went straight into the. I ended up going to Italian Conti, which is like a performing arts school academy in London. But I went there for a year, but it wasn't for me because it was too showbiz for me. But then once, like all this, everyone's doing ballet moves. I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm not trying to do theatre. I'm trying to be a real artist. So obviously, once I heard Lauryn Hill, for instance, or Jill Scott and Erica Badu and stuff, I kind of wanted it to be quite more raw. So that's when I started kind of, going into the scene and just kind of just being out there, My thing was, this is the thing with me, I didn't come from a musical background. So a lot of it I had to kind of do by myself. So there was no one around me that could kind of really guide me and tell me what is right or what wasn't right. So I would I'll just go out there and just get lost in different communities. And because people could see that I was hungry, people would take me under their wing. And then I'll keep, obviously evolving and growing with all those different scenes. So
okay, I mean, but you tell me that the inspiration you had when you were 5 followed you. That okay, I want to be a recording artist once I finish school. I mean, that does seem like quite a torch to carry for that many years.
do you know what it is? I'm one of those people, and it's so weird, and I've always been this way. When I feel something and believe in something, I'm one of the people that's very honest. And coming from a Jamaican background, Caribbeans are very opinionated. They've always got something to say. Like, even if you don't ask them for it, they always have something to say. So my mum be like, shut up, you make up too much noise in the house, you can't sing, be quiet. But in my mind, I'm like, Mum, trust me, I'm going to get it. And then eventually I kept practicing, and I started kind of, finding this thing. And then, as I said, I was so adamant that I didn't care what anyone was saying. And somehow I just ended up, come to England, ended up working with people like Omar, and like the Soul to Soul, crowd. And then, I just don't know, somehow, it's like, what's that word when you say not serendipity, but purpose and destiny? Like, you just know. In my heart, I've always been quite a spiritual person. So the moment I felt it, I trusted it and I believed it. And I've never not been that way. It's always been that way since I was young. And I can't explain it. I can't describe it. All I just know is that I believe it and I trust it.
Yeah. So I guess when you were in coming out of boarding school or coming out of secondary school, which artists were around that you were like, okay, making the charts maybe in the UK or America that you were like, wow, okay.
There's another thing about, see, back then, like, I think we know in my era, we didn't really know about charts. You heard what you heard. And in Germany, like, in people that were quite young, we would go out clubbing, even though, we were too young to club. But so, and because it was the army base, Germany was like heavily army based with a lot of American soldiers. So the club scene would be very hip hop and R&B and soulful. So obviously some people like Sunshine Anderson was when I got back to England. So it would be like Fugees and Monica, Aaliyah, R. Kelly. I couldn't say that anymore. But, it was that kind of like Joe, Bobby Brown. Like it was always very hip hop and that's kind of just what I grabbed. And I think as a kid, I was literally in a bubble. I didn't care about anything else except that. So even when my mum said to me, you know what, until you pass your GCSEs, like, okay, for me to be able to do what I need to do, I want to focus on that. And once I've done that, I'm going back into my bubble. And that's kind of what happened.
Oh, okay. And then you came back to the UK though. Was it still the same? I mean, what year was it that you finished it? So I can find out what music.
Yeah, boarding school at 96. Okay, I left boarding school at 96, but I think Lauryn Hill must have just come. No, Lauryn Hill came out.
No,
Before that, Fugees were out, and then Lauryn Hill's album dropped in 98. So And I remember hearing Lauryn Hill's album just blew me away. And
Okay.
it was India, Lauryn Hill, Music Soul Child. It was all those kind of
Oh,
records.
Erica Badu. But then that was the latter part. So you did what about when the SWVs and the Total and the
Yeah, I like, but the thing is, I was always into people that I spoke, had messages in their songs. So
some more
SW, I
neo
love that.
soul? Oh, there was more than neo soul type of the Jill
Yeah,
Hill, the Jill
but
Hill.
it was really more people that had a message. Like since I was trying to understand, heard it all before. They were very strong, and I loved SW, and I loved their voices, but I never literally gravitate because they were more R&B voices that
Mm.
would be riffing more. But I was more into like how Whitney Houston would have a message, the greatest love of all.
India kind of stuff.
Yeah, India. When I heard video, I lost my mind. Yeah, and Jill Scott.
Okay. Okay. Floetry, was that later?
Yeah. The Flow Chips, because they came out around the same time that I did. So for me, they went. I was amazed by them, but at the same time, I was already influenced by the Lauryn Hills and stuff. So
Mm.
they were kind of, because I know Natalie Liv, it's one of my good friends, and we came out around the same time, but we didn't know each other. But so I was inspired by them, but more because they were doing kind of what I wanted to do, but not so much that I was listening to them the same that I was listening to Lauren and everyone.
Yeah. I guess I mean we can just side notice the fact that the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was well voted or put as the number one album on Apple Music, and I think it took a lot of us by surprise. It's like, okay, it was a good album, but we the fact that they said it voted as the number one album. I guess you might have a different opinion about that, being that you inspired and that was
You know what? When Lauren says Lauren is only human, the thing I haven't been for the same predicament. And it's like, I just always remember thinking to myself, she's not preaching at me, she's not telling me what to do. She's saying, I've been there before. So when you listen back to a lot of the things that she said, I've experienced a lot of the things that she spoke about on that album. So for me, when people say, that when it was number one, I understood it because she's inspired everyone that's come after, from Amy Winehouse to and to everyone. I think for me, Lauryn Hill's album set such a precedent because she managed to bridge the old school and the new school. She could rap, she could sing, she could act, she was gorgeous, she was confident in herself, and she spoke her truth. And she wasn't afraid to own her shit. Whilst a lot of people a lot of people say that they certain things, but then they would act differently. Whilst Lauren, she ended up going to prison for, not paying taxes, whatever else. And she's
I
always
forgot about that.
yeah, but remember, she's always stood by, because I think the thing is, I'm really close with Salam Remy, who's
To
obviously
who?
produced Salam Remy, Salam
Okay.
Remy.
Yeah,
He produced. So he's the one. So when I was in Germany, there was one time me and my mum was in the front room and we were listening to watching the videos, and this song came on by Fugees, and it was like Mona Lisa, can I get a day to Friday? And me and my mum were like, what the hell is this? So we lost it. The next day we went out and got the album, but it turns out it was a remix of the song. And the album was awful. The first album, Fuji's album, was really bad. But that remix is the remix that then inspired and ignited the score. So when you think of Fuji Last Alarm produced that one, but some radio or not, that was the sound that then made them make the album that then became the album that everyone knew. And when I remember just thinking to myself, like, wow, like I was just enamored by her because of the way she was confident. She was the only girl amongst the guys, but she could spit, she could hold it just as much as them. In fact, she was probably even better than most of them. Do you know what I mean? So, but it was never in a cocky and, oh, I'm better than anyone way. It's more like, yo, And I always was really, really attracted to that. That whole, her being, and then obviously seeing her in Sister Act 2.
Okay.
Obviously, just before I knew who she was, and so all these things started to kind of connect. I'm like, oh my god, this woman, like, wow, So yeah,
Okay. And so, okay, I mean, as I said, I think there was something about her Unplugged album that really inspired me. I just love the truth she spoke on that one.
yes,
And actually, I think there was a time I thought, oh, it would have been great if she had recorded those songs in the studio. But I think that the rawness of how it was recorded and the mistakes and the missed keys and stuff like that, missed intentional. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. And it's funny, there's a thing to add to that. So because I went through the whole thing because I was signed, and then I understood why she did that. Because the first album, people don't understand, she spoke her truth on the first album, but it was polished. It was, it was told to us, it was marketed. And the second album, she went raw. She took it all out. She's wearing a bandana. She's playing off key. She's saying her voice is breaking. She's not polished. She's not perfect. She's making mistakes. But she was saying that to you in the first album. But in the first album, she had a machine behind her. The second album was her by herself. And I think that's the reason why I think I love her so much, because she wasn't afraid to do that. Because everyone, remember, she was sponsored by people like Armani, but when you look at the first video, it was all glossy. You know, she was perfect makeup, she had the glam squad. The second time around, she's like, no. So when you listen to that, the second album, and you listen to the first album, it's actually the same thing. It's just actually trying to show you, listen, what I'm saying to you is for real. I'm not just saying this because, you know, everything's behind me. This is who I am. But because she didn't have the backing behind her, everyone's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, she's lost it. She's gone crazy. But she was talking some truth.
Yeah. But then, so as a young singer then here in the UK, and you know, doo-wop thing and Zion and all these things are coming out. What does that do to you as someone who was trying to get in as a singer-songwriter?
Well, the point is, like, I was emulating it so much that people be like, you sound too much like Lauryn Hill. Actually, Natalie Flows did a show with a friend of mine. I was doing the BVs for her, and then the backing. And then I remember seeing Natalie in the toilet, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a big fan. You're amazing. She goes, yeah, you know, you're dope, but you sound too much like Lauren. You need to find your own voice. And up to this day, she hates when I say, she goes, no, but don't tell people that. It sounds like I was bullying you. I'm like, no. What you did is you changed my life, because when you said, because I looked up to you and I respected you, that was the truth I needed to hear. And then from that day on, I then started to find my own voice. So, but I was still, obviously, my guidance was the Lauren about being the truth and having a certain flow and knowing how to, but I found my own voice, you know?
When did you start writing?
This is the thing. So, like, people, when I first started out, people put me in writing sessions a lot. And even, you know, really up until even recently, you know, people always used to kind of make me feel like, oh, you haven't got that hit, or you haven't got this there. Not realizing that I'm usually always the driving force for why. So every song that I've ever, the first song that I wrote that got me signed was something that I wrote, literally just freestyle. But then once then people discover you, then they feel like they have to add their little 2 pence for them to turn you into a star. And that's kind of what happened to me. So I would end up writing with all these different people, which I think has to happen so that you can evolve and grow. So you're not ignorant and just think that you know it all. And I'm always one of them people that's very honest about, like, if I'm not, if I know when I'm not on point, and I know when, but I know when it's something does make sense, I'm adamant and I'm sticking to it. But I love the fact that I was always kind of reached out to by songwriters that are dope, but that saw my potential, but wanted me to go even further. So every time I would work with those people, they would take me to another level every time. So, and I'm still growing. I mean, I write all my stuff now. Like, no one can really, I don't want anyone to write anything for me. I always want to be involved in it. But I'm a songwriter. I think I've become a songwriter more and more since I left my major label. That's when I really felt like, and that was in 2005.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to but I guess how was it in the UK as a R&B singer, songwriter, soul singer, trying to get a voice? I mean, you know, unlike in the US where R&B had and black music really had it's a big chunk of the population. How was it in like being back in London, trying to now have a voice?
Well, just the thing is, as you said, coming back to England, it was like a bit of a culture shock for me, because everyone was like into their garage, into their, you know, it was more reggae, it was more drum and bass, it was more jungle, and everyone is, and even when I first came out with my first album, everyone thought I was American, and because I was kind of singing an American accent. So and when people would meet me, like, oh, you're from England, I'm like, yeah. But to say anything about poetry, besides Natalie speaking in, you know, doing poetry in English, you know, Marsha sounded American, so a lot of people would always associate us with America. And so it was a bit like there wasn't really a space for us, because everyone was into their garage, grime, or, you know, or you know, or it was like a UK soul, Sade, Soul to Soul, Loose Ends, Omar, Donny, you know, Misha Paris, and they had a certain type of sound. So it was like even when people think about neo soul, that a lot of guys from America would say that neo soul started with us, you know. And so when they look at someone like, Omar's a god to them, so is like poetry. But you know, over here they're like, yeah, but you guys aren't as big as the Americans. But the Americans look at them and think, like, soul to soul, you guys inspired us to do what we do.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Even loose ends. There's a lot of people out there will talk about loose ends and the hit and how they impact. But then thinking about, did you then think, okay, even I want to be a singer, the market in the UK and even Europe isn't really big enough to cater to that? Or what how did you feel? You just say it didn't matter, I just want to sing?
But this is exactly, because this is the thing with me, because I wasn't an industry person. I was just, because growing up in Germany, as I said, all of the biggest artists were either Whitney Houston, Lauryn Hill. There was never a thing of you have to market it. If it's dope, it's dope. And if I'll be honest with you, it's actually been one of the reasons why I think I'm still here, because I focus on the product first. Don't worry about it, because once people, sometimes remember back in the day, you wouldn't know what people looked like. You didn't even know how people felt about you. There was no, people couldn't say in your comments, "Oh, I hate your song," or "You're ugly." Remember back in the day, sometimes you wouldn't even know what someone looked like until after, sort of be like, "Oh, this is what they look like." Wow. So and in Germany, so when I came back to England, I was still in that mindset of view of the world of, yo, if you're dope, you're gonna get there. And it kind of help me get around the world, because I focused on my voice, my message, and my delivery. And then everything else, and what then kept, I think, kind of sometimes sabotaging me is then people wanting to style me or put me into this box of what, you're a soul singer, you're a neo soul singer, you're a garage singer, you're this singer. And I'm like, no, and I realized that I'm a soulful singer songwriter, but I'm not necessarily just one thing. Because even when people say that I'm R&B, I don't think I'm an R&B singer at all, but I can do certain things, but I'm not an R&B singer.
Yeah. Okay. And then how does the journey then get you signed? And as I said, being in the UK is quite different from, say, in America, where there's eight managers and everyone's chasing labels and lots of boutique labels. In the UK, how did you then go from little spot dates to actually getting the air of a label?
Again, me trusting my gut, and just like every time someone didn't get it, I kept it moving. I'd go off to, like, I think after, so when I first came to it, when I first started singing, I thanked my dad's funeral, and this woman was there and her boyfriend, and she said, "My boyfriend, he's a manager. I'd love for you to meet him." So then I met him, and then he kind of introduced me to all these different people in the industry, and I ended up doing like a lot of stuff for Shanks and Bigfoot. I don't even know who they are. They got this song called "Sweet Like Chocolate Boy."
Yeah.
So they had number one, and then they wanted me. They were doing an album, and they ended up having me doing the whole. I did the vocals for the whole album, and but I wasn't. I was just, again, I just wanted to sing. So wherever anyone heard me, believed in me, trusted me, saw my potential, I went towards that. So, and that's kind of what. But then when I started realizing that this box is, the walls are caving and like it's getting tight, and like people are not hearing what I'm trying to do, and then somehow I would always end up this rebelling and just leaving and just going off on myself and just starting again. And it would happen. It happened every time I made a new album. That's how it would start. Me going, you know what? I've learned enough now. I've kind of outgrown this now. I need to go somewhere else because no one's listening to me. Because I'm not in it for the fame. I'm not in it for the I'm not trying to look like anyone else. What I started to realize is that I had my own unique way of doing things, but I still didn't know. Hence why my first album called Untitled, because I was honest about the fact that I still don't know exactly what it is. All I know is that this is my message, this is who I am, but I'm still learning.
Okay, so you got connected, going through the connections. Are you, and for those, and this is also for those who are also young males and females looking to get into the industry. How, back in those days, how do you keep yourself safe then when you are learning not just the business but also trying to get into an industry that is has can be challenging in itself if you don't have somebody that's already in the industry?
The thing is that this is the thing, I really wasn't, because there was no one around me. So the first time, like, I had my family and friends that would, that listened, played. I had my family that protected me in the sense of just love and nurturing and support and protection. But when it comes to the music side of things, no one really knew. And we had some people in the music industry, but I wasn't trying to. As I said, I wasn't trying to be in it for that. I just wanted to be heard. So even if they told me stuff, if they didn't get it, I wasn't listening to them anyway. So I was like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't get it. Let me keep it moving. It was literally, it's one of these one things where I was a kid that just believed in herself, and I never let anyone let me not believe in myself. And that's what it really was with me. There was no strategy. There was no plan. There was just me following what felt good. As I said, when I first heard that woman singing,
Mm.
Phyllis Nelson, I just knew that's what I want to make people feel the way she made me feel. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how to do it. All I know is that this is how I want to make people feel. So whenever it feels good, that's where I'm going. And every time I've done that, that's how it happened.
Okay, okay. And
I
so,
know, I know sometimes you feel like you want to have this, there's no strategic answer. It's literally a spiritual guide thing for me.
yeah, yeah. No, I
Mm.
mean, as I said, doors open. I mean, as I said, it's I think this entertainment industry, for those who have a gift, the right doors open. but also if it's almost like, there always the analogies about if a mother's deep in sleep and she hears her baby crying, she'll wake up, and but she can sleep through thunderstorm and won't even lift an eyelid and stuff like that. So if you're trying to listen to stuff, your ears are tuned in, to find
Literally,
to find.
literally.
Yeah, I mean, so being featured on that album, with them, was your name in the credits so people could tell who you were? So.
Yeah, yeah. But at that point, I was when I did the Shakespeare Pickle stuff. I wasn't Terri Walker. I was Terri Walker, the singer, but I wasn't Terri Walker, the artist. So my name would be like, oh, that's Terri Walker singing, but I didn't have my own stuff. I didn't have my own records, or I didn't even want to necessarily be an artist. Yeah, I just wanted to sing. So my name would be.
Okay, what's the difference? I mean, I don't know. You just want to sing enough.
There's a difference. There's a difference between people, because someone that just wants to sing, they will sing on everything. They'll be featured everywhere. They will sing anything that's going to be a hit. And and at first, that's what I was. I just thought I wanted to sing, but when I started realizing some of the things that I'm singing, like, this doesn't resonate with me. This doesn't feel right. But because I wasn't writing my own songs or producing my own stuff, or even knew how to produce, and I knew that I didn't have that much say in it. So I had to kind of trust, when I was with people, and just follow by the people that were listening to what I'm saying, and then would turn it into something that then became my own product. Which is what usually would happen, because eventually when it got to a point where I'm just singing all these, and remember, I'm a classically trained singer, so I can kind of adapt and I can morph into different things. But when it started to come to a point when they want me to sing this type of vibe, I'm like, but that's not who I am. And then the more I started to grow and evolve into myself, I would say no to things that didn't make sense for me, and just knowing when to say no. Yeah.
At this stage, do you ever learn the business side of music alongside as you are learning the craft?
No, I only really started learning because I was literally forced into it. Because I was still like, listen, if I'm good, everyone's gonna be good. So I'll get signed. I had all the team around me, but I'm just like, because all these people were obviously helping me become who I was becoming. So, and everyone wanted me to be the artist. They just wanted me to sing and just do what I do, and they would know. And that's it. But then eventually it got to a point where I got signed. I ended up getting Mercury nominated and the Mobos. So then I'm this artist that comes out, and then I attract all these other artists that want to be artists, and they're asking me for advice. So when I'm giving them advice, I'm like, just be yourself. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
But then obviously them understanding the business more than me, they were like, look at me like, okay, yeah, she thinks she's not as easy as that. But then at the same time, to me, if I'll be honest with you, it is as easy as that, because now that I do understand the business, I think if I had known it, I don't think I would have made half the things that I've done. I would have been too what's it called, calculated. I'd have been thinking too much about what I'm going to do next, instead of just making records that would make me then push myself out of my comfort zone. And sometimes when things are trend, like house music is cool right now, or piano is hot right now, or soulful house, everyone starts making certain records because this is what's in. But with me, when things are in, I'm kind of somewhere else again, because I'm traveling to what the people are listening to. Because I'm about the people. Like when I kind of left the industry and decided to go back into why I started singing before I became an artist in the industry. Because remember, when you're not in the industry, you hear music by going to a party when you're out. You don't know who the person produced. You don't know how they got it. You don't know how those kind of things. You just hear it and you feel it. You like it. And I realized when I was in the industry and I knew too much about the music industry, it started to kind of just stifle me. And I just became so uninspired. I became numb. I started thinking to myself, my God, these people just do anything to make it. And I'm like, I'm not that. Then, I never had to, like, when I moved to Germany with my stepdad, we never really had to worry about money and stuff like that. It was always about, are you happy? You okay? Da, 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 da. But then obviously that's not a storyline that most Black women, especially, for my generation, really have. They had to struggle, they had to fight, they had to hustle. And me, I didn't have to. I was allowed to just wonder and just be carefree for a minute. But when I realized that my carefreeness was kind of triggering people, or making people, projecting how they felt about themselves about me, I had to understand, like, you know what? I've kind of been given a privilege to be able to. Once my mom said to me, you can do what you want to do, once you pass your GCSEs, I was allowed to do that. Not a lot of people have that privilege. So, and then that's when I started to understand, even in listening to Lauren, I understood them more. Like, I understood so many people more that I was listening to. But I loved them. I knew that I loved them, but I didn't know why I loved them. Now I understood why I loved them, because my mum is a strong woman, strong, hardworking, no nonsense, it doesn't make sense, she's not doing it kind of person. Whilst then because she had to do that, she allowed me to be more free and not have to worry about those things, which I think was a good thing. But at the same time, in hindsight, sometimes a bit of a hindrance, because when you do have to, you kind of get a bit lost, don't you, for a second, until then you have to fight for yourself. And I'm glad, because I did look at her and I watched how she did it. I took on board how she did it, and I kind of adapted that. So I kind of kept learning as I went along.
Okay, so I mean, how did you get discovered then by Mercury Def Soul?
So again, when I was doing the Strikes and Bigfoot stuff, my management at the time, they weren't really getting me. They were putting me in all these different sessions. I'm writing folk music. I'm doing this. I'm doing jazz. I'm doing this. And then it got to the point where they were looking after this other group. They were called Architects at the time. Just make the body move. You got to make the body move. Massive hit. And she's amazing. This girl called Nene, and she was like, they were focusing on her. And I loved it. I was so inspired by, that journey. But I realized also that's not me. So when they were kind of trying to get me into sessions, no one knew what to do with me. So I just said, at one point, I just said to my mum, I'm going to disappear for a week. I just need to get my head cleared. So I just went off and went to LA for a week just to clear my head by myself. And I ended up meeting these people in LA, and I ended up staying there for a week. And we worked with Loveful was one of the first ones that ended up getting me signed, and I ended up staying there for a month. And then everyone was like, "Where's Terri? What happened to Terri? Where's she disappeared? We can't find her." Because I told my mum, "I'm okay, just don't tell anyone where I'm at." Everyone was just like, "Proper, like, she just disappeared. No one can find her." And I had to do that. So when I came back to England, I ended up leaving that management. But then and then I started kind of just going around playing people the stuff that I'd done. And then I found my new management. He was like, "Yo, this is crazy. I can get this signed." And he at the time was looking after this artist. He was signed to DreamWorks, where Floaty was signed. So he had all these connections in the States. So he played people my stuff. They were all like, I had Def Jam in the States interested. I had Magic Johnson and Elektra. So they were all wanting to sign me from just that one song. But the 9/11 happened, and we meant to fly out on the 13th, and we couldn't fly out. So then they said, "Oh, but we've got someone's over in England, and he's starting Def Jam UK. You should go and see him." So we ended up having a meeting with Jaha Johnson, who heard me. He was like, "Yo, why you never come to me? I've been here the whole time. Why y'all didn't see who? Come and see me." And we didn't know, because we were thinking about America, because my sound's more American. So then we met him, and he signed me on the top. And it's funny because actually Island Records was also wanting to sign in England, but they were actually offering me more money. But because of Def Jam, you get excited. Oh, Def Jam, big name. I want to be part of Def Jam. So I just thought, even though they gave me less money, but I just loved the history of Def Jam. So I said, I'm going with Def Jam.
But they merged a few months later.
Yeah, and it was just, But you know what? Again, everything. If I'll be honest with you, again, if I'd been signed and done what I thought I wanted to do, I wouldn't have learned half the things that I've learned now, And I think sometimes with artists, you think you want this big. Sometimes a lot of these artists, they get signed and get these major deals, and they kind of end up getting stuck in this box. And then the glass ceiling happens, because then they think once you have that hit record, the second album becomes a very difficult one to make, because you're trying to keep up with those stars, making sure that you still keep that audience. You don't, that audience loves you for this. So if you try to do something different, they're like, "Why are you doing that different? Like, we like you this way." And I luckily didn't have that. So the first album, people loved it. It was critically acclaimed, but the people were behind me. But when the second album happened, obviously that's when they did the whole industry thing, and oh God, and I remember thinking to myself, you know what, I have to do it, because I don't know anything else. I have to play the game. And when I first album, I didn't play the game. The second album, I played the game, and that was the thing that made me then realize and learn that I'm never playing the game again. If it don't feel right, I'm not doing it.
Okay. So, I mean, but when you think of the first album, okay, Def Soul. Had they signed Music Soul Child, Case and Drew Hill and Kelly Price? Were they on the Def Soul, but the US?
Yeah, the US. Yeah. The UK was completely different. It was so separate. It was so
okay.
Separate.
It was so separate. Okay, so you weren't label mates. You wouldn't be considered label mates. Okay.
No, it's funny because Jaha, mostly I end up having Most Def on my record, and then Warren Campbell, who produced Mary, produced Guess You Didn't Love Me and What Will I Do on my album, and his sister wrote it. But most of the album was done in England.
Okay. Did you? Let me see. So one got married 20 years. I think he got married at 2002. So when did you go and do the recording with him?
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I remember meeting his Mary and the whole family. I was there for Thanksgiving, so I remember I was there because my album came out in 2003. But yeah, I recorded it around 2002. I don't remember if he was married because I wasn't that close with
Yeah.
them. I was studio with them, but yeah, but they would love it.
No, no. Let me see. I was at his wedding, and so I'm just trying to remember the dates. I was at his wedding, so it was 2002,
Okay.
the early part of 2002, and I interviewed him just a few months ago, and I told him that, man, I hadn't seen you since your wedding, and then he joked. Although, as I said, my then girlfriend was best friends with his wife's junior sister, so we went to the wedding and stuff. But I noticed that he did produce, and he'd come from he was doing lots of stuff with Death Row. He had done a lot of stuff.
Yes,
What was
yeah.
that like having been in the studio? Did you know who he was as a producer?
Said I didn't even know who most. I knew who most different, but I didn't really. I was a soul girl. You know what I mean? I want to hear. I was into my R&B, so even I said I was between Common and Most Def do the feature, and so I didn't like when he says to me, say Baby Dub, and I'm like Baby Dub, like
Oh,
I'm like
that's his little
yeah, that's if you tagging it, and
yeah.
only after that I realized that he's the one that did Mary. Like I was so, as I said, I was in my bubble, just following what people told me, and when I realized the magnitude of the people that I was working with, I'm like, you what? Are you okay? Are you mad? I went to the house for Thanksgiving. Like I was hanging out with them. Like his sister wrote "Guess He Didn't Love Me" and "What Will I Do" on my album. And that now, and because I think because I was so honest about it, they still like, you know what, Terry, you were a real one, because you was never starstruck and like, like pretending and doing the whole fake thing, trying to, gas our ego. I was just like, yeah, but at the same time, I said, no, no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was amazing.
Wow. I mean, okay, so they did the two tracks. Did you get to meet Most Def, or was it that his vocals were added later on, or?
Well, this is the thing. So at the time, I was in I was in this relationship with this guy, and I was on holiday, and they were like, "Yo, you need to fly back to do most of gonna do his verse. We need to come to New York to do the verse to be there." Like, no, I'm on a holiday with my boyfriend. I'm trying to split out. I'm not coming. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So yeah. So I'm like, no, and obviously end up breaking up with this guy because he was cheating on me. But then after that, me and both Dev, we see each other because this guy Naheem, that he's the one that kind of sealed the deal because he knew Naheem, he was part of his tour management team, and Naheem's like an old family friend of mine. Like, yo, do this record for Miss Terri Walker, she's dope. And then every time I see Mo, people like, yo, that's one of my favorite features, I'm like, you say that to everybody, get out of here, get out of
Yeah,
here.
but he wasn't in the video. Why wasn't he in the video?
Because again, it was one of those ones where because I remember, I think maybe because I didn't go to the studio and just maybe I just didn't feel like I was serious, and I get it, But every time I saw him after that, it's always love and always respect. So yeah,
Okay, okay. My goodness.
I know. When you're young, you think you know it all. This is the thing, when you're the youngsters. Oh, I know, I'm good, I'm okay.
Wow, you already acted the diva before you even got the stuff like
No,
that.
but it wasn't that. So the thing is, I said I come from a Jamaican background, and Jamaicans, if you know, Jamaicans think that they're always stars themselves, so they don't care if you're a star. They don't care who you are. If I don't know who you are, I don't care. And it wasn't a thing that I didn't care who he was. It's just that I wasn't into hip hop like that. I was into soul and R&B at the time, innit? So when people are mentioning Common and Most Def, I'm like, okay, that's cool, right. And then obviously after the part, I'm like, oh my god, he's one of the most amazing, one of the best lyricists ever of all time. Do you know what I mean? And everything that he stands for, what he's about. But if I'm honest with you, I'm proud of myself that I wasn't, and I didn't lie and pretend because I'm not. I want it to always be organic, and this is why I think one of the reasons why I'm still in this industry because people know that when you meet me and when you work with me, it's a genuine, it's for real. It's not it's an opportunity or it's going to get me there. It's like the record that we're going to make is going to be that record because we're all going to get it, So yeah.
So, Untitled is completed. So I moved from the US back to the UK in 2003, and I remember seeing the album posted everywhere,
Yeah.
and like, oh, who's this Terri Walker? They really, I think they went big in promoting it because I saw the album and says, man, I remember that album. But then, how did it do? Um,
This is the thing because my album got bootlegged, so it got leaked. And I remember being driving in my car and then on the radio, Choice FM, and they were playing it. I'm like, oh, they play my music. And then my label like, they're not supposed to play your music. They're not supposed to have this. Why are they playing your music? I'm like, what do you mean? But then at the same time, it was great having all these billboards everywhere. But again, no one really knew who I was. When people heard me, they thought I was American. Then they obviously then they promoted this big old Terri Walker. Da, 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 da. She's the next this, she's the next that. and neo soul this and that. And again, when you listen to the album, there's maybe 2 or 3 songs that are kind of neo soul-y, but then there's other quite poppy songs on there, and hence why I called it Untitled. But because obviously Most Def was featured on it, and Drawing Board's quite jazzy and stuff, everyone kind of just assumed that that's the lane that I'm supposed to go down. So obviously having all these billboards and me looking kind of mature, in a gallery, which is obviously a dope idea because it's and hence Untitled. When you go to a gallery and you call it Untitled because I want you to decide what you think it is. I don't want to call it. That's what it was about. It's like you decide when you listen to it, what you see, what does it mean to you, and even subconsciously without even me saying it, that's kind of what happened with my first album. And I was around a lot of people that really believed and trusted in me. And so as long as I did what I did, they provided for me to look and do like my band, an 11-piece band. Pino Palladino was in my band, who's produced with D'Angelo, and I had some serious musicians who are now, since me, have all evolved and done their own thing. But when I started out, I didn't know the magnitude. I did not know. But the thing is, what it was, it was my innocence and my hunger for just, and just being grateful for being heard and respected and seen that kind of got me through a lot of these doors, because people could see that I was genuine. I wasn't being a diva, I wasn't being difficult. But I also, though, at the same time, if I don't want to do something, I wouldn't just say yes for the sake of saying yes. Until the second album, when I felt like, when you start thinking it's the industry, I've got to play the game, and I started compromising. And that's the thing that maybe.
Yeah, no, before we get to the second album, though, I just wanted to understand, what is it like to release a soul album in Europe? And because in the US, what normally will happen is that they would go after radio and get a song, a single, and then start building from there. And and the radios have affiliates around the country, so they'll go after one market and it'll spread. But what was it like trying to get a break here in the UK? I mean, Choice is just, I think at the time, was just London based. There was no extra, one extra. I mean, so how are they trying to sell that? I mean, apart from the billboards, which I saw all over the place. I lived in I think White City at the time.
Yes.
But then how are they trying to really get you get the album sold?
And that's what the problem was, because they didn't know, and because Choice bootlegged it, and then the black people were like, yo, this is dope. But then it was kind of like, it was by force, but they had to kind of pay attention to me. So people like Giles Peterson started playing me, and then I got interviewed on Radio 1. I ended up doing Glastonbury. I ended up getting nominated for the Mercury Music Prize and stuff. But it was more because I was the people's champion. But no one still really understood what the marketing play was for me. Like, what was I doing? What was the plan going forward? And because I, as I said, was honest about the fact that I'm still figuring it out, wasn't helping the situation. So anyone that's coming with ideas, I'm going with that. So, but my thing, as I said, is like, I didn't think back then I couldn't tell. I didn't even know that that there was a marketing strategy for me to get played, or when I had to do interviews, that I'm trying to get this audience to like me. I was just being me. Do you know what I mean? And it's only after I said, I realized with the second album that, there's a plan to this. Remember, back in the day when I used to hear music or see somebody, I thought that they were just their natural self, and people just liked the music and people just played it, and that's what it was. I didn't realize there was all these meetings and strategies, and because when you started out, you don't think of that back then. Nowadays, kids know, because it's so open. Everyone knows this is what you have to do. When I started out, there was no social media. There wasn't even like documentary sometimes telling you about what happened to this person that got, these things only start to really come out after, when you start to hear the true stories of what happened to people in the industry. So I didn't know about no marketing strategy.
So between your label and your management, do they not say, okay, we've sold 200, 300,000?
No, they didn't want me to get distracted, because they knew that you telling me all of that is going to make me then start overthinking. So they knew that just keep Terri happy, doing what she does. When she goes on stage, she usually wins everyone over, which is what it was. When I had to then start thinking about winning people over, is when it was always not it. So they, in a way, they did the right thing at the time with me, because when I went on stage, I just bought it. Whilst the moment when they started kind of telling me what I needed to do and act like, it became all stiff and weird. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If they just said, Terri, hey, we just need you to perform this song, that's it. And in a way, as I said, yes, it's bad, because you think, but you should be aware. But like, that's part of the process that I had to understand. Because all the people I look up to, like, when you think about what Lauren's saying, it's funny how money changes situations. Like, she had to go through the same thing. She didn't realize that until the second album, when she came up with the second one. It was all strategy. And then she realized, yo, I'm here for healing, for truth. I'm trying to teach these girls not to make the same mistakes as me, but you guys are marketing me. I'm not trying to be marketed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it is for me. And I realized very quickly on, and that's why I removed myself, because I didn't get dropped. I said, let me go. Because I had a meeting with my A&R, no, with my MD at the time. And he's like, what happened to Terri Walker with the second album?
Oh no!
And I said,
Before we get to
oh, sorry.
let it talk. I'm trying to. So when you're promoting the first album, and you get nominated for the Mercury, Mobos, and stuff like that, how do you feel about that type of industry adulations and being on these big shows? Are you like, Mama, I've made it? So what's going on?
Yeah, of course. Because I'm like, there's people coming up to me like that. I looked up to like people who work with you, like Omar. I went to Lisa Stansfield. I meet so like people are like, oh. But then there's the up and comers that were coming after, like Estelle and those other people after were telling me that they're inspired by me. Because yeah, it is. So it was a thing of, but then I didn't really feel like, again, I was honest about the fact. I said, guys, as much as it's great I'm here, but I didn't do this by myself. I got here. I wanted to sing, but my team around me. So I was always honest about the fact that I didn't know everything. Whilst sometimes I said those kids, they wanted to have the answers. They thought that I knew how I got there. No, I didn't. I think this is going to be the ongoing answer that you're going to ask me. I'm going to say the same thing every time. I did not know. I just trusted my gut. Like, there's literally, that's how the first few albums, it was all just trusting my gut and just believing in myself.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like this, it comes to the point, I don't even, and I love my first few albums, I do, but to me, they don't represent who I really am now. Do you know what I mean? Because now I really understand why I'm doing things. And cause even though when I'm singing certain things or doing certain things, back then, I knew that it was right to do. I also knew when someone's wanted, but now I really know why I'm doing it 100%. Like, this is, even if this doesn't, people don't get it now, they're gonna get it once this and this and this makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't know that back then. Back then I just used to do it and to trust it. Now I know why I trust it, you know? Yeah.
Being yeah, I mean, but I guess, I mean, did you do places like Glastonbury during your first album?
Yeah, I did my own stage at Glastonbury.
What was that like then? I mean, because I mean, as I said, you get overwhelmed with like, wow, I can't believe I'm here, pinch me moments, or are you in autopilot?
No, the thing is, again, like, because again, when I came to England, I didn't know anything about Glastonbury festivals, even awards. If I'm being honest with you, Grammys, I knew about the Oscars, but even Grammys and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't that type of. I was into my music from a point of I like listening to it, but I didn't follow anyone's journey and find out why did they make it, how did they get there. It was more. So when I got invited to do these things and Jules Holland and stuff, it was like, okay, but I felt like a bit like an imposter syndrome, because I'm like, but I don't know why I'm here. I don't know how I got here, but I'm here, you know. So,
Yeah.
and you could see that in me, like when I'm answering questions and the way I'm acting, and I'm all like, "Thank you so much for having me," you know. And it's like, it is still thank you so much for having me, because it's always an honor to be invited and it's humbling. But now it's like, I know why you've invited me, and I know why, you know. Remember, I have someone like a Most Def on my record, so people obviously going to assume that I'm this deep, even thinking because I have Most Def on my record. I was not. So I'm saying, I'm like, hey guys. So when they meet me, they're like, is she okay? She's not serious. Which I was, but I wasn't, you know, because I just love the music, and I'm glad that I'm back to that place that I love it. I'm serious now, but when you lose the love for it, you're in prison. It's not
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, going over then, when so what happens with Love? Because it shows that you were still in Mercury, but not Def Soul. Did they move you over, or what did they?
Yeah, no, that's so by that point was done, because Daha left, the Americans had left, and he like they realized, the Americans realized that they don't give a damn about that side of that over here. So that's when I went to Mercury. But obviously, because they believed in me and they saw all the response and the critical acclaim, they knew that there was something there with me. But I had like different changes of MDs. I had about 3-4 different changes over. So they had to keep getting to know me.
When you say MDs, are you talking music directors or who?
For the company, the label.
Oh, the managing director. Okay.
Yeah, the label. So, and it was like, oh yeah, Terri Walker. We all know, everyone knows that they love me, and that, you know, she's very talented. But there was no direction, and I did, as I said, this is why LOVE, when you listen to LOVE, it's like a compilation of a bunch of different songs. So there was no real direction in it.
Yeah. So when you did because you do that album, are you able to pick the people you want to work with, write the kind of songs you wanted, or did they just?
The second album, even the first album, remember the first songs that I got signed with, I bought them. And then after that, everyone was putting me in sessions. I didn't know nothing about songwriters or producers. I didn't know about that side. I just knew about being in choirs and joining shows and stuff. But I didn't know about production and stuff like that. So whoever was hot, I didn't even know who was hot and who was new. I just knew that, this. Someone would say to me, "Yo, you need to work with this guy. You need to work with this person. They're about to blow up." And I never think that way. I'm just thinking, are they dope? If they hear me and that's it, that's what it was. So yeah, no one put me in those sessions with anyone. I mean, no, I didn't say, "I want to work with this person."
Yeah. So you had no direction. But then what's your manager doing then? I thought
And
there's
that's
a
what he was doing for me, yeah, because he knew in his mind he had this idea of who he thought I should be. Remember, everyone's thinking I'm going to be the next this, I'm going to be the next that, but no one was actually listening to me when I'm saying to them, guys, I'm telling you, I'm not. I love these people, but I'm not trying to be the next anything. I'm trying to be the next me.
Mm,
But when you can't articulate that properly with people around you, and you can't, how can you when you're still figuring it out? Like, I can't tell you this is what, like, I see, when I see it, I know it. But until I experienced it, I couldn't have told anyone. So hence why I think that's why I haven't really been managed by anyone. I've got a business partner, but no one's managed me since 2006.
I'm listening to you and I'm wondering how much if you had the an A&R and who spent time with the artist development, trying to figure out who you are, trying to see where your lane is, and then start to say, okay, we know some of the songwriters and producers who kind of fit the way you are presenting.
Yeah.
Um, then that in a way would have then helped that process. But if they're just like, okay, I think she sounds like a British version of Erica Badu. Let's just get people who write in that lane and
Same
sell it
thing. Yeah.
out there. But the problem is that you're not going to be authentic when you're singing. So people will listen and think, nah, this doesn't sound really right, and probably get
Yeah.
turned off because you could write it, because you can feel a record if you can feel that somebody really means what they're singing. But if
Yeah.
you know, because we
No,
had you trying to do sing Mary J's My Life album, it's like, yeah, you may hit the notes, but we won't believe what you're
you
singing
won't
as an
believe it.
audience. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's the first because you love Soul song that I wrote, so that's something that's why I got signed. That's what they saw in me, but they didn't understand that I was great to emulate things, and so I could sing anything. I can deliver and emulate a lot of stuff, and what's the word again? I can interpret a lot of things.
Mm.
But if I like it and I get it, then yeah. So any song you give me and I like it, I could, and that's even with the first album. You listen to it, everything I've interpreted it how it's supposed to be interpreted. So it is mine. I've made it my own, but
Mm.
again, it was still people talking to me, but then to have an idea of what they thought it was.
Mm.
So, and that was that until the second album. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you were less in control of the second album, and it was more so the labels putting it together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Jamelia had a number one with Superstar.
Oh
They
yeah,
put,
yeah, yeah.
and then and obviously two people that produced Whoopsie Daisy produced Superstar, and that was my first single. And then the people that produced This Is My Time, there was these guys from Denmark who actually is a song that should have been the first song because they listened to me and we collaborated on that song. But the second, again, it was about we need to sell records, we need to
Denmark. Wow.
yeah. And then Whoopsie Daisy was like a bad version of Beyonce's Crazy in Love the video. Like, I'm not a dancer. I've got weave in my hair. I've got like it's like it's all off. Like, to this day, I had to forgive myself. I had to take so long for me to go, you know what? How could you? I had to go. When I look, I'm like, really? Well, at the time, I was like, oh, guys. And even people telling me now, that's not you. I'm like, oh, no, I've got to do this to label because I'm like, this is what I've got to do. But
Oh,
this is when you learn, honey. Like, I mean, there was so many times when I realized what I'd done, I was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go against the grain. But I had to go through that for me to go and say, you know what, stop it, and in fact, I'm not one of those people that denies it and blames everyone. This is your fault. It was no one else's fault. I've always been in control of. If I say I'm going to do something, I said yes. I could have said no, but I said yes. So, and And I'm glad I said this because I wasn't afraid to fail. I wasn't afraid to try something. I wasn't afraid to, until I did understand who I was. That's when I would say no. I only say no when I know exactly what I'm not supposed to do, you know? And back then I was like, I'm still figuring it out. And if you think this might work, let's do it. And I think that's how you should be in life until you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to find the formula, aren't you, for yourself?
Yeah. And so when the LOV album doesn't do what is expected, do you then go to Mercury and says, can we just part ways, or do they not say, well, he still owes 3 more albums, or?
No, so what happened is LOVE, so they put out Wolfie Daisy, which then obviously alienated my whole original audience because it was like a whole pop record, and they expected me to do this neo soul kind of soulful thing, and I'm coming and going, Whoopsie Daisy, I've been lost. And it's like, yo, what happened to Terri Walker? So then I ended up getting managed by Jonathan Shalit, who was looking after Jamelia at the time. And you know what? Like, it was like, if I'm being honest with you, my album actually charted higher than my first album. I had more exposure in that sense. And, people were getting me. And he was great because he just knew everyone. He was a big businessman. He knew how to get in the right places. But I realized again that.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay. The
Yeah.
white guy. I've seen him. I remember seeing him.
Yeah, Jewish guy, yeah. And
Yeah,
but he didn't, again, and me and him had the most honest conversations. He'd be like, listen, you're intelligent, you can do whatever you want to do. But then he's the one that set up a meeting with the MD at the time that was still there. And he goes, have a meeting, and then try to figure it out. And I had the meeting as soon as I went in there, because my mum was supposed to come with me. She goes, no, this is the time you go by yourself. You need to figure these things out by yourself. Had the meeting with him, and the first thing I said to him, he said to me first, what happened to Terri Walker? And I said, you know what? Let me go. And he just went, oh. And that was it. And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And to be honest with you, this is not fun anymore. Like, this is not fun anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go. And it was just easy. And people, to this day, like, and that's what I said. I was like, just let me go. Because to me, it wasn't about the money. And I didn't care about that. It was about, I'm not myself. And I feel like I'm a fraud star. And I'm doing all this nonsense. And then all the people that people be honest with me about the fact that, yo, what is this shit? Sorry much. And what is this nonsense? What are you doing? What's going on here? People tell me, because obviously my original audience are real soul music lovers. They're not into this pop shit. You know what I'm saying? So for swearing. So when I'm then coming with this, and I'm like, but I had to play the game. I'm like, but I didn't have to play the game. And that's when I was like, guys, I'm being accountable. I'm owning it. And I had to forgive myself. And the way I forgave myself was by me leaving and starting again and repaying my dues.
Okay. So, I mean, you walk away from the major label.
Yeah.
But how long did it take before you started to record I Am?
You know what? I Am came out 2006. So I left the label and I said, you know what? And everyone that I've worked with that understood me and knew me is I worked with James Yard, who produced Drawing Board on my album, Sammy J, who produced What Will I Do, and I ended up going to LA because at that time I still was doing gigs, so I was still making money, so I could kind of fund myself for a bit. But then eventually the money started to dry out, and I had to kind of do other things. But I made the album, and then I found these people that kind of signed it and put it out independently. But again, of a bunch of people that weren't really listening to me, but it was more like the Terri Walker hype, because they knew I left the album, I left the label, but they could see, could see that, okay, I was back to myself, and this could potentially be the second album that we were all waiting for. But at the same time, I still didn't really understand how to lead what I wanted to do. So, because I was still trusting everyone around me to kind of help me. So I Am. It's funny because apparently they had a meeting at Mercury, one of those the strategy meetings, and when I Am came out, it got such a great review from people, like, oh my god, yeah, she's kind of back to herself, she's getting there, kind of thing. They were like, yo, it's going to be a problem because she's left the label, and if she does really well with this album, it's going to make us look bad, type of thing. And someone actually that was in the meeting told me this. I was like, no way. And that's what I kind of felt proud of myself. I'm like, yo, so I knew I trusted myself. And that album now, when I listen back to it now, like, even the songs still are kind of poppyish, and you can still see that I'm kind of figuring it out. But I am, because every first song on my own, every one of my album are always songs of me telling you who I am and my intentions. Like, Loveful, don't mess with me. This is my time. I ain't got time for the nonsense. I am, listen. But everything else to make the rest of the album, it would always be collaborations and then people thinking they know and they don't know. But the driving force is always me starting it, but then not being able to finish it. So yeah.
I mean, were you happy with the success of that, or does that album just help you go and do more touring at that time?
Yeah, because I got signed to this independent label, and then I ended up doing like North Sea Jazz Festival and getting booked again. But then it was my thing because I'm one of those people. I'm a community person, so if it's me, we're all. If I'm getting there, we're all getting there. So I was always trying to make sure everyone else was okay. So to the point where I would be in the red to make sure that everyone else was sorted. So if my band members wanted this and that, they got it. And if they wanted to rehearse in this studio, we rehearsed in this because that's what they need for them to do the best. Not realizing that, like, no, this is what the labels are there for, because they're there to budget to make sure that. Because remember, musicians, everyone's a diva, and then when you're a diva, oh, you're being too diva. Because I used to hate people calling me a diva. Oh my god, I used to be like, that's the last thing I want to be is a diva. I would never want anyone to think that I'm ungrateful, that I think I'm above anyone, below anyone. But it got to a point where me trying to be too humble and too understanding with everybody kind of then bulldozed over me, and everyone was just getting, kind of getting what they wanted, and then I was kind of left in a place of, I'm here like with nothing. But at the same time, it made me still make the album that I wanted to make, in a sense, because everyone felt like they were, because I want to make everyone that's works with me is important, from the graphic designer to my plugger to those people. If they don't listen and they feel like they've done something that's coming from them, then I don't want them to really be in it. I don't want to tell you what you should know, what you should do. Like everyone, when I first got signed, my PR lady, she got me pressed when no one knew who the hell I was, because she understood and listened to me, and she believed in herself and believed in me. So, and I was getting all these, great gigs and stuff like that because everyone around me was on their job. And I tried to obviously have that the same with the last project. And by that point, I was Terri Walker, so everyone kind of relying on me to open doors, and without me realizing that guys, you don't understand. Like the reason why those doors were open is because my team was tight, and I was tight, but my team was tight as well. And then that's when I started to realize, like, okay, as much as I want to be this leader and control of my own ship, I have to do so much more to understand who is. So I want to be. I want like to work with I like to work with people that are proactive, that are leaders themselves. So when we have a meeting, we say we need to say it, then we go and do it. We don't have to have a meeting to have a meeting. You know, the people that have meetings to have meetings. They want to have a meeting about the meeting, and they want to have another meeting to have the meeting. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Just do it. Like that's because I'm a person. I'm a doer. I'm not a talker. I'm a doer. I don't have time to keep talking about stuff. Like once I've got something in my head, okay, let's do it. And everyone back then, when I first got signed, but even my management at the time, when he was getting me all these deals, he knew who to shop me to, hence why I got signed. He heard me like, okay, these people are going to get it. So that's how I ended up being in America. So, and, we obviously parted ways because of the way, again, he didn't get enough guidance and nurture, because he was the first time being a black manager in the UK by himself without having the mentorship of other black managers that have done things before.
Okay.
So and he really tried. He tried so hard, and then he got on top of him. Bless him.
Oh, this is when you did your first 2 albums with Mercury.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part ways. Yeah.
And then when you had Jonathan, how long did you work with him for?
Literally, oh god, I think maybe like after the second single, I was like,
of the third of I Am, or
No, he was
second
after
single?
that. No, by that point, I was gone by then.
Okay. But then, what happens then when you do when I Am is out, you're touring and stuff? Then it looks as if you left that independent label, and did you then join with Dame Dash and his Blue Rock, or what did you
Oh
do?
no, that came way after. I was with Salon Remy before that. 2007, I met Salon Remy, and I did an album called The Champagne Flutes, which I don't know if you've heard this. It's so Salon Remy, he's Nas, Made You Look, Amy's first album,
Oh,
Fuji La, that Mr. Dynamite, like he's my mentor. Like this, so I got introduced to him via Mr. Dynamite's manager, old manager actually, and he's like, "Yo, this girl's got a vibe. Don't know what it is yet, but you should meet her." And when I met him, I didn't know. Again, I didn't know. I didn't know who he was. I went up to him, I was like, "Oh, you're cute." Rude. So and I was like, and even a year after knowing him for a year, I still didn't really understand the scope of who he was. Yeah, so but I'm just like, yeah, and he saw me. He poured into me, gave me the positive. He saw something. And he goes, we should do this record. So we ended up doing this record, just kind of bossa nova. It's got like this orchestra behind it, and it was like this bossa nova kind of classical, soulful, jazzy sounding album, and he just, and because I was then times I was still kind of finding myself. So he's like, "Do you want to come to LA?" And I just booked a flight And he loved the fact that I was so fearless. Like, okay, come on, come in. But then after that, he was like, after that, I've got you. Don't worry about it. But then I ended up being with Salam for about, and then he ended up doing Sex and the City soundtrack and like the Mike Tyson and Rush Hour. And I ended up doing all the DVDs for it. And one of the songs ended up being on the soundtrack. But what ended up happening again, no one was listening to me. And I was still trying to figure it out. So I disappeared. And then we ended up going to New York. And that's when I was going to end up hanging out with people like Dame Dash. But Salam was always there because he understood, like, okay, I need to let her grow. He was never someone that tried to control me. So when I was doing all those things, Salam was always in the background, making sure that I was okay. And if I needed any advice, he was always there. So when I was out there just doing whatever I was doing, he'd be like, you okay, Shubs? You all right over there? You okay? You need to come home? You need to steady your flight? I'm like, no, I'm okay. And to have that, like, I mean, I understand that now, like, people are dying to work with Salam with me. Everyone wants to be the next Amy Winehouse. Everyone wants to be the next Lauryn Hill. So when I'm there, as I said, after a year of being around him, and I told you that song that I heard by Fugees, Mona Lisa, Can I Get a Date on Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I said to him, he goes to me, so what was one of your favorite, we were just talking about, what was one of your records that really inspired you? So I'm like, yo, one time me and my mum were in the front room and he had the song, it's got a group called Fugees, and it was Fugees, you know, they were massive by this point now. You know, their first album was a little crap. We went and bought it, was so upset. Turns out it was a remix. He goes, oh, I did that remix. I'm like, I've been hanging out with this man for a whole year at this point. You understand? I've been with this man for a whole year. He is the person that has inspired one of my biggest inspirations, Lauryn Hill. He's the one that made her do that verse and made them do that. You know, make it. I'm like, what? Excuse me? Wow. So yeah, my whole life has been serendipity. It's been one of those ones where that's why to the point where I don't fight it anymore. Like, if I'm meant to be somewhere, I'm gonna be there.
Okay. But then, as I said, then why did you I mean, Dash he'd lost Rockefeller, so what could he offer you?
No, but I wasn't there for Dame Dash. So what happened is my friend Naheem, who actually got most left to be on my record the first time around, he was like, yo, Dave started this gallery in New York and he's got everyone coming through Ski Beats who produced Reasonable Doubt for Jay-Z. We're all coming, and Moses there, and come through to the studio, come and do some stuff. So I ended up just going there, meeting them. I ended up being there for 3 years. As I said, just ran, and then end up just doing oh god, you know what? Sometimes I think this story that people gonna have, like, Terri Walker, is crazy. But I was because I know I have my family. I have the foundation of my family and friends. I'm always gonna be okay. But when I'm doing my artist creative stuff, they allow me to just go and Chanel, do what you do. My name's Chanel. Go and do what you're doing. And then when I come back home with the record, they're like, yo, because every time I'm allowed to just roam free and trust myself, I make the dopest stuff. The moment they try to control me, it's always gonna do nonsense. So when I was out there for me, we ended up doing. I made a whole record with Ski Beats. He produced obviously Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, and I was meant to get signed. Everyone said, "Oh, you're gonna get signed to Def Jam, no, to Rockefeller." And Dame wasn't really trying to sign people. He was just doing this imprint where everyone was collaborating and we put it out together, kind of thing. But at the time, I thought I was kind of like, again, we were gassed by the fact that Dame Dash, you're thinking Jay-Z, Kanye West, oh, he's gonna make me a star. You always think that, but he can't make you a star. Like, he can guide you along and he can put certain things. You have to be like Jay-Z. You can't. Kanye, really? Like, all those people that have become, and they were all already beasts within themselves, but he was there to facilitate. And I think, and I was kind of similar in that sense, but I didn't, because I hadn't had any hits like that. I was still humbling myself to know that whoever I was around, I'm still learning and I get it. And I didn't had that confidence in that. I know I can get it, but I didn't have that, the way that how Kanye can produce or Jay-Z would know. I didn't have that yet. Even Estelle, because Estelle was out there. Estelle has that thing where she had that driving force, so that's why she became Estelle, because she knew exactly where she was going. She knew who she wanted to be. Whilst for me, I was like, I don't care about being famous. It's not about being rich. I grew up with money with my stepdad. Money, and I'm not impressed by people. In fact, they get on my nerves when people start thinking that they're special because they got money. I'm like, I went to boarding school. Like, I was to travel all the time. So those things were never. That wasn't the driving force. When I make it, I'm gonna be able to do this and buy a Ferrari and that. So I grew up with that stuff. So my thing was always like, I want to see people. I want to see people's reaction when they hear my music and go, "Oh, wow!" That's how people listen to Bob. Like, it's a soothing, healing thing. So, and then I just literally started to kind of just kept going towards that thing when I started realizing, when I started working with these people, I started kind of attracting a lot of people that were those type of artists that then made me become even more the type of artist that I am now, you know? So, because they'll be like, oh, I heard that record and you inspired me to do this and you made me believe in myself. And at the time, I didn't realize that my records were doing that because I was still figuring it out, you know?
Mm.
So, yeah.
Wow. I guess just it's just I guess it's I mean, in the midst of this, I mean, when you're mingling with with these industry people, are you still you're not in your mind is like, okay, I need to have a hit record. I need to get people to listen to my songs. I mean, but I need to be able to pay my bills. I mean, does that? I mean, I guess there's the balance between a hit record that pays the bills that allows you to just explore and stuff.
You know, it's interesting because I remember when Estelle, before Estelle had American Boy, she played it to me before Kanye was on it. I was like, Estelle, you gone clear. You gone clear. So I can hear when it's something's it. And
Mm.
but again, I don't have that hunger or that focus that everyone that after me that came after that got to the next level in the sense of becoming like superstars in that sense of they had a number one record. Like my focus, my driving force was never now I'm in there, I've got to keep up this thing. It was always like make the best record. So every time I've made a record with people, it always ends up usually being a record that people want to sign and do further. But because I don't have that hunger in me, then people don't. They think, oh, this is not going to go anywhere because she doesn't have that. But I do. But I just do when it's the right situation. I'm not doing it for the same reasons that other people are doing it. So, and I think that's what used to happen with me many times where I get introduced to people. Oh, she's dope. She's got it. She's amazing. You see on stage. Da, 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 da. But when they didn't want me to kind of play the game I'm like, no, I didn't. You didn't meet me because of that. You met me because of what this. So when you start doing that, and what usually always happens 10 times out of 10, whatever they do after, it always ends up not doing what it is, and they end up not even doing what they want to do because they play the game so much that they don't even end up making music anymore. Sometimes, you know,
Mm.
and not everyone, but like some people just end up just not like a lot of people that I met when they were doing it. They were their own. They were in their own lane. There was no one else doing what they were doing, and it was so. And I think that's how I was when I first started out. But then I started becoming that person that was kind of like, I'm getting invited everywhere, but it's because I'm Terri Walker, but not because everyone was actually listening to me, or because of because that's what happens. When you become famous, your name precedes you. No one's listening to what you're actually about. They just want they're just next to you because but she knows Kanye, or she knows Kalam, or she knows she might be able to introduce me to Lauren. Not realizing that the reason why these people respect me is because I am who I am. It's not because of I'm just Terri Walker. You know what I mean? So.
I mean, were you when you're out in the States at this time, not really putting out big music? Were you still connected? Did you get to meet your idol, Lauren Hill?
I've still not met her, and me and Salam speak every day, and him and Nas and they speak about. We've not met her, but I feel like I have met her, and I don't. To the point, I don't think I need to meet her because she's really and she resonates with me so much. When I hear her and I just see her happy and doing her thing, and maybe for me, she might hate me. She might be like, "Oh, she's too much. She's too much." So maybe I shouldn't meet her. But but no, but I'm still when I look at her and the other day, even when she said in the message, she said, this album was here for generations. It took time, for it to get, and even if it went to number one, she's like, I'm thankful, but she understands that it was an album that had to go through what it had to go through for
Mm.
people to really understand what the purpose was of it. And I think I knew from a very early age, from when she then started saying F the industry. And hence why I think I kind of went down that road as well, because I'm like, if y'all don't understand, like, Lauren for me is everything. She's, especially when she first get beautiful, articulate, a night like rap thing. And she was, remember, she won all those Grammys not for no reason. You know what I mean? Everyone didn't want to work with her, and the reason why the album was dancing at the time wasn't for no reason. It was undeniable. So if then someone like her, and even when I found out that Bob Marley never won an award in his lifetime, when I found out all those kind of things, I was like, you will? But yeah, he's still the person that everyone still goes and is inspired and wants to be like. They want to be the next this, but he never won an award in his lifetime. Yeah, I mean, man.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have little respect for um the music awards more so. I think the film awards, they still in some case there's still some clarity, but the music awards, yeah, you can get nominated. Yeah, yeah, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all of that stuff. I don't respect it at all.
and I listen. I'm not judging anyone. I'm love everyone in their hustle, but as I said, even being around that and people, I want to get a Grammy, but you haven't even had a record out yet. But you want to get no, you haven't even performed in front of an audience, your own audience, but you want to be nominated for something that you don't even know who your audience is, but you want to be given you want all these accolades for something that you haven't even developed into anything yet. And I find when I started out, that's not what I did it for. I just wanted people to feel me and hear me. And that's what, so when I see it now, it literally, but I'm so glad I'm in this other place now where I'm not, I know, first, at one point I said, judge, I'm like, look at these people, they're just so fucking weird, judge. I don't do that anymore because I get it, because everyone has their own reasons and their own dreams and their own hopes, and that's fine. I have mine, and what theirs is none of my business. I just do what I do.
But I guess people might be watching, when they do watch and listen, they may start thinking, okay, did she ever find herself, and when she did find herself, what did she put out that represents who she is?
You listened to my love story recently, right?
Are we? You're telling me that it's taken that long before you got to this?
No, but you understand, I've done many records that people didn't. I was part of people's thing, and I thought that everything that I ever do after leaving the label has always been me. But the problem is, I was never in control of my own label. So this time it's on my own label, and I never wanted to be, because again, I let the music speak first. So a lot of the songs that I put out, I've all become like 10-year anniversary classics that people like, that's the record that made me do. So everything I've done after 2006, it's all been me. But this is the first time. But after, have you heard of Children of Zeus?
Have I heard of what?
Children of Zeus.
No.
There's a group from Manchester, and they're so dope. Like, look, they're getting like accolades from like people in the States, from like Jazzy Jeff and even like Salam. Their album, they had an album called Travel Light, and they asked me to be on the album. And when I listened to the first song on the album, and they said that they wanted me to work with them, I realized that I've done my job, because the album is just the way I feel about Lauren's album is how I felt about their album, and that's there's not many people that I could say that I'm inspired by besides after Lauren. And they're from Manchester. They've been grinding the thing, and they're so professional. They're on their stuff. They know what they're doing. But they're doing festivals. They're getting booked everywhere, and they asked me for guidance. And so that means I did that after I did my first album. I mean the third album, and I put out Entitled, and I did. I put out Already Told You. How can you be mad when you've been stalling, and I've been waiting on you? Been waiting. I'm telling you, if you listen to the songs, I'm telling you, I'm good, but I'm not doing it on your terms. And if you don't get it until I'm dead, fine. Because as I said, Bob Marley never won an award in his lifetime. So why do I care what anyone doesn't get? You understand? You understand? If Bob Marley did, who the hell am I? I need to get out of here. So. And I think to the point where sometimes when people ask me that, it's like, those people for me, and I love them, and I appreciate, but then that means they're not listening to me, and they don't really, and till they get to see me, maybe till they see me on stage, I'm like, oh no. But again, you have to understand the journey as to why people like myself still do it. Even why you decided that you want to have a conversation with me. It's like, I'm in a good place because I'm proud of myself for sticking to my guns, for forgiving myself for the nonsense, whoopsie daisy nonsense. Yeah. And I have to, literally, still now, but I literally feel like I've paid my dues now. And now when I'm getting books for stuff, like, people are asking me to do songs that I've written, nothing to do with the made, to the point people don't even want to really hear the first album like that anymore. It's all the new stuff that I'm doing now. And that's me achieving it to say to you guys, like, trust me, you need to trust it. And because the thing is, there would have been many times where I could have been successful in the eyes, what people think, if I went along with certain things. But it's just my soul, my spirit was like,
Yeah.
I looked at the same mistake again.
Before we move to my love story, what was the inspiration for you and Nicole Ray, who she was signed to Missy, had the big hits? Is it Hot Girls or Hot Boys? Hot Boys. How did that the collaboration Lady? How did that come about?
Again, so that I got introduced to Truth and Soul. Who did I need a dollar, niggas do what I need. Yeah, so they produced, and they were sampled by Jay-Z's. So they're the ones that played they're like musicians, and they're like a jazz No, they're like a soul, old school soul kind of. They had like Lee Fields, Sharon Jones, and that things. You know that whole, that kind of, you know, do you know those, those people that yeah.
No,
They're like
okay.
they're like a group, but it's like in New York. Everyone wanted to work with them, so everyone would want to work with them. So they'd be on people's records and playing. So when they heard the Champagne Flutes that I did with Salam with me, they're like, "Yo, we want to work with this girl." So I ended up going to the studio, and I started writing with them first separately, and then Dane was like, because they were big fans of them, like, "Yo, can this girl Mackenzie, can she come to the studio?" I was like, "Of course she can." To me, it's not no competition thing. Then he's like, "Oh, can Nicole come?" Of course she can. But Dame already had in his mind what he was trying to do. He wanted us to be in this group together. Then, which would have been, because the album we made was amazing. But again, no one understanding that I'm not here for that. I make records. So when it comes down to them trying to control the situation, not realizing Salam's always there in the background. I'm not signing exclusively to anybody. This is not what's making. This is part of the process. This is part of my legacy, yes, but this is not who I am. So that would happen. So me and Nicole, as the other girl initially, Mackenzie, that was there, she ended up like not being there anymore, and it was just me and Nicole left. And then obviously we made that record. We literally toured. Listen, we got Billboard. We got was it Rolling Stone? Like we got the most amazing reviews. We toured the US. We toured Europe. All sold out shows, part of stuff. But then what happened was, when it comes down to them trying to sign us exclusively, they weren't trying to sign us for proper money. And then talking to Salam's like, doesn't make sense. I said no. The moment I said that I didn't want to sign that, they kind of, and you know what? And it's fine because Nicole's killing it, and I love it because that is Nicole's journey. That wasn't my journey. I always thought it's like Nicole Way and Terri Walker. We both got. She's massive in the States, but my history is more respected in England. But Novelle doesn't really know who I am. But I know that what it would mean if me and her made the record. And everyone only realized after the fact when I kind of left, because they tried to obviously listen. They tried to kind of like pretend like I wasn't part of it. So when they didn't start doing tours, people were like, "What happened to Terri Walker?" I mean, they had to kind of mention my name. It was like, to the point where it's like, so no matter as much as I love the album, it's still like a little bit of a bittersweet thing there, a little bit sometimes. Not with Nicole, because I love Nicole, but the way they tried to control the situation, and that's when I had to end up making Entitled, to make people understand, like, I'm not in it for that, the same reason, and. Yeah, and and it's so weird because you'd think, oh God, you've had it so hard. Like, no, I didn't. Because there's many times I could have done so many things. Like, I've been blessed to do what I want to do. Yes, sometimes financially it's been a bit, and sometimes because I said no to certain things, people weren't booking me because it's like, they're not supporting her if she's not doing that. Fine. And start again, innit? When you're someone that is a creatives, we start again and again and again. If you're a real creative, that's not something that's going to throw you off. If that's going to throw you off, you shouldn't be an artist. You shouldn't be a creative, as far as I'm concerned. If someone can just stop you in the tracks after that, no, again.
But does this affect, even today, does it affect going to getting gigs and shows and stuff like that? Or is that separate? Because I mean, no, are we saying that you get blacklisted by the industry
Yeah,
because you don't sign up for certain things?
no, do you know what? It's not that I didn't sign off. It's just that I wasn't, whatever their agenda was, I wasn't. I was like, I'm doing me as well. I could do this, but I'm also doing this. But they obviously want to focus on their thing. So obviously, then when that starts doing well, and they're obviously in conversations with certain promoters and whatever else. Like with Nicole, we did cross the tracks the other day, and Nicole's obviously on the main stage, and that's where she belongs. I belong there when I get to do my own music, and then I got booked to do like a PA set in the same scene, but my audience were there, and that audience is the audience that first got me signed. And they've all been thinking, what's happened to, is she still make, not that they don't even realize that I still made music. Till they started seeing me performing all the songs, they're like, oh, so I'm singing all these different songs that they have heard me beat on it. And then when my love story comes out now, and I'm saying, don't waste your time, because I don't really care about your life. I mean what I'm saying, because I'm doing this. So now you're hearing, because when I put out my love story, it went to number one on the iTunes straight away. The feedback from the radio report was like 100%. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Still now, and I put that out like 2 years, 2023 I put it out. And then I put the remix package out now, and I haven't even done visuals to it yet. And it hasn't even scratched the surface yet.
So what's the remix package? What's the difference?
Zed Bias. So Zed Bias, he's like an underground legend over here. He did a whole remix package of the album. So, and it's kind of really connected all the dots between me, Children of Zeus, that scene, why I've done what I've done, And I knew because of all the other processes of everything that I've done, it had to go that way. I couldn't be a thing where I'm doing this marketing strategy and rollout. And then, you know, if you don't get the results in the time that you get it, onto the next album. I'm going back to the old school days when the album has to marinate. People have to hear, like, you don't just put out an album and then after, because people didn't play it after the first few weeks. Oh, well, it didn't work. It doesn't work that way. People have to hear the song. Like, let people hear it. Let me see people perform. So, and I've got this thing called the Melting Pot. I've got this radio show that I do on Soho Radio. Been doing it for 4 years, where I introduce people that have inspired me. So I've had Jules Holland, I've had Omar, I've had Goldie, I've had you know, I've had Salam, I've had all these people on there. But then I do the night, which is then a night that it's my name, but it's me introducing all those same people that perform. So now to the point where I don't even book it anymore. People are like, oh, can I come and perform in your event? Can I? Industry's asking me, oh, do you want to collab? I'm like, no, this is not about you lot. And it's become a thing. It's a free event, and everything is happening. It's taken a long while, but I know because of how I started out, that's how it goes. Because once you're in, you're cemented into the you know, you're cemented into the scene. And those songs, those classic, as long as you keep your head, you hear that song, no matter where you are in life, no matter when you hear it, that song's gonna make you feel like, oh my God. Because those songs are part of your soul, you know, and I am part of everyone's soul. You know, and you know what's funny? The other day when I performed, they were like, "We love you," and I'm like, "Oh." Sometimes people like, "You just want people to love you." Like, no, I love myself. I don't need you to love me, but I love the fact that you guys finally get it now. Like, I'm happy. Doesn't matter what, like, because I wouldn't. I would have been so. I don't. You know, like how you see a lot of these people that are rich, and then you find out that they're depressed behind closed doors, and they got like, what? I don't understand that. Like, I'm genuinely happy, money or no money. I have love and understanding and purpose, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, my love story. So if we go to track one, I think that's actually my favorite track on the album. Finally Over You. It actually got me dancing, and I don't really dance that much. I was in the kitchen, I was listening to it, and all of a sudden I'm dancing. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, it surprised me how it just gets you, even if you didn't want to, just gets you going.
I
Uh,
love that.
yeah, I'm serious. My son was watching me like, what's that doing? I was just like,
You know what,
oh,
and you know it's crazy because when I wrote that song, yeah, I knew because I was still like wasn't even really trying to do an album like that. And when I wrote that, when I heard the first heard the music and I wrote those first, don't waste your time because I don't really. I was like, okay, it's time, and I knew no matter how long it takes, this album's gonna every time. Sometimes people like they didn't hear it the first time, but then whatever place they're in their life. And then they go, oh wow, you know what? You know, you build me up, let me down, lift me up. And when I think about it, I did you instead of me. And when I think about you did you and never me. Like a lot of people then go, you know what? I've been procrastinating or allowing people to make me doubt myself. And that's what happened to me many times where I'm strong about myself. And someone will try to take me down a peg or two. And because I'll be confused as to why, because I'm like, but you don't have to do that. Like I'm not, so I'm saying I'm finally over you. I don't care what you think and how you feel about whatever else it is. I know everything that I've done, who I've inspired, who I've impacted, who, you know, who you know knows who I am. And usually all people that everyone else, the world knows. Like Amy Winehouse when she was alive, she'd always say to me, "Oh, your album." Blah, blah, blah. You know, all these people that everyone looks up to are mostly inspired by stuff that I've done. And then what else success do you need? Like if I'm inspiring the people that everyone knows, you know. So this is why this album is for me. And now the fact that it's time and it's allowed to grow and marinate and it's allowed to reach people the way it's fun. That's the thing. Like when I first got it signed with a Believe, like, oh, you know, we don't got a Spotify place. And I don't care about Spotify. Oh, you might not give it. Does it look like I care about that stuff? And it's been non-stop. It's been going non-stop. Every day I get messages, people telling me, oh my God, I've just heard the album. Da, 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 da. Oh my God, when can I see you perform? And I haven't had that in a long time. So
yeah. Okay. I'm not the one. Let me see.
yeah.
Who was doing the background vocals on that? Because I thought I liked the. Was it just you and the whole thing?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah. Because I just like the there was something about how the background vocals. I'm sure there was maybe the stacking of vocals, but I just loved that type of flavor. So it reminded me very much of the a lot of Uptown records back in the 90s.
Yeah.
There was a lot of background vocals and
Yeah.
Terry Robinson from Terry and Monica and all these people. And that
Absolutely.
really made that vocal. So I listened to that, and the thing I stood out, I'm like, oh, I like the how the background vocals complement the track.
Yeah, I think Tyler might have added a few vocals, like the guy that produced it as well. Like, but it's mainly me. I do most of my vocals.
Oh, okay. Um, I remember. Is that more so a throwback to the motherland?
Yeah, because growing up, I said of Jamaican heritage, and I used to always say to people, and it's, you can never admit to this, but I was like, oh, Jamaican music, I used to be like, I ching it, oh God, it's to get on my nerves. I'm like, oh, when you grow up with something, I'm like, oh. And then obviously I got on, I'm like, what is wrong? Again, what's wrong with you? But it's the honest, and now when I listen back to it, I'm thinking, that was part of my DNA. I think about, remember we used to all sleep in the bed together. You could smell the planting and the dumpling in the morning. And then, we listen to Lauren, like I listened to Lauren Hill, and it's like I remember like when we used to have those dreams and hopes, and you just want to be, you want to be like the people in the video. That's what it is. And that one is one. And I'm surprised that's a lot of people's favorite, that one. And then Rhythm of Change is another one that everyone goes.
Well,
When
true
it,
for the sorry, don't jump in it, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Fearless kind of threw me back to the days when neo soul became very popular. I always get good memories when I watch Remember Love Jones. I don't know if you
oh
watched.
yeah, yes.
So there was something about Fearless that just took me back to Love Jones. That's that sort of poetry, that type of vibe and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that took me back there when I listened to Fearless. I mean, was there an inspiration behind Fearless?
What the whole album, to be honest with you, what happened was Tyler would send me, the guy that produced it, Tyler and Connie, they would send me tracks, and then I would just vibe on it, and I'd send them what I'd have at my idea.
Okay.
And then we finished, we were actually about to finish up in the studio, and he played it to me, and I went, ooh. And I went, literally it just came to me, that I don't need nobody to make me feel the way I should. There is no amount of money. You know what I'm saying? And everything I'm saying to you, like, that's what it is, because that's exactly how I feel. I don't care. Because I wake up happy. So that song was literally one of those, and I literally wrote that song about maybe like less than an hour.
Wow.
And yeah, because everything with this album was meant to happen. Like the album was meant to happen the way it was meant to happen. Finally Over You was meant to happen the way it happened. I'm not the one. Like, why are you fighting me? Your insecurities are just so, and it's the truth. Like, because I'm happy and I'm confident. You want me to feel the way, you're projecting how you feel about yourself. Stop doing that. Like, I'm not you. Go away.
Yeah.
That's what my love story. Like, this is my love story. Let me have my love story, yo.
Yeah. The Rhythm of Change. It gave me that 60s vibe. I liked how the saxophone went through. And there was a little bit of an Erykah Badu on and on and on. It had that.
What it was, I had a session, I had a radio interview with Ronnie Harrell, and he played, because what I do, I ask people to send me 3 songs that first spoke to you, and then 12 songs that first song you released, and then the other 12 songs part of your soundtrack to your life. And he played Can't Keep Running Away, Can't Keep. And I remember waking up that day in Manchester just before I went to studios, and I remember having it in my head and going, and I sang over and I was thinking, oh, do what you gotta do, say what you need to say to get you through the day. When things get harder, you'll be all right. Yeah, you'll be fine. Because that's literally what I was going through. I was like, I had to just go day by day, do whatever I needed to do to get past. And I was like, yo, T, I've got this idea. He heard it instantly and he flipped it. And that's why it's one of my favorite songs on the album, because everything was so true and relative to what I was talking about. Literally, it's been how I got back to this place. I had to just trust the process and not allow people and their opinions and their fears and their projections and insecurities come onto me, because I'm an empath, so I take on a lot of people's energies all the time, to the point I've had to literally I put this album, I've had to remove myself from people, because if I was to listen to so much how my people, I wouldn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? And it's because I said I have been doing what it needs to do. So Rhythm of Change was, running in circles now in the rhythm of change, no disrupting the sound in the rhythm of change. Down this road we march along in this rhythm of change, and as one we sing this song in the rhythm of change. As we're changing, just do what you gotta do, say what you need to say to get you through the day. When people piss you off and you want to go to fuck off, this is what you do.
Yeah, yeah. And who's DRS?
DRS. So he's actually the original guy that actually linked us all. He's from Manchester. They're all actually original hip hop artists. They used to be in this group called Broken English, and then Tyler used to be his own artist. And then Tyler and Connie become Children of Zeus, and then DRS is now like he's just such a prolific writer. He's an amazing writer, but he's drum and bass, hip hop. He's just music. He's just love. He's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You're Not Coming Home. At first, I'm listening to it. I'm thinking Shalimar type of vibe, sort of that kind of 80s sort of.
Yeah. You know what? That one is inspired because they played the vibe, and I just remember thinking to myself, I've been out so many times with people where I'm a friendly person, as you can see. I'm quite friendly. I'm quite. So people always assume sometimes that I might, especially guys, that I might be into them, and I'm like, no, I'm just a friendly person. So I'm gonna make sure we can laugh, we can joke, we can vibe, but you're not coming home with me tonight. That's why it's like cheeky, funny. Like, why would you think that I'm in love with you? Go love yourself. Go find somebody. Don't get uptight. This ain't the first, won't be the last time. You're not right. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you're reading the signs wrong. This is not it. Like, this is it. Like, go away. You listen to the lyrics. It's actually quite cheeky, kind of tongue in cheek. It's like, in a way, it's like a part 2 to drawing board when you think about it. Like, men can go. It's like, back to the drawing board. It's like a new version of drawing board in a sense.
Okay, but then yeah, I guess it's the production that gave me that 80s vibe, that Shalimar kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I guess just before we get to I Surrender, I guess what is it about your personality that because that sort of free spirit type of stuff, that type of who cares, whatever stuff, it's very uncommon, and so I do wonder
See, this is the thing for me because I grew up around a lot of people that don't give a damn about. They have so much opinions. They do it. This is the reason I'm the way that I am because I'm a Jamaican culture. Me not care what you have to say. Me like it's not care. Go away. That's what I come from. So to me, it's not.
I think there's a difference between because I'm Nigerian, so we have our personalities. We have our
sister, with mom and sister.
we're but then that the majority of us will still look, the dollar, okay, we chased, we don't play around with the money kind of stuff, and we can make some compromise and stuff. But that part of just let me go, I'll just do this and I'll move here, and you're 1 minute here, then okay, I'm 3 years in New York, and then you're here. That's a level of artistry, but that's still a level of free spirit that isn't very common.
Yeah, really.
But not very black.
That's the German.
That's what I say. But black people were very calculated. Okay,
You know what? It's so funny because a lot of people, when they realize that I grew up in Germany, like, oh, that makes sense. You were around white people. Okay, this is why you were doing it. And it's the truth because, as I said, I viewed the world differently from a point of view of how white people see me because I was around white people. So the way they're like, oh my God, you're so amazing. Especially if you're confident in yourself. So when I come back to England, and then and everyone's like looking at themselves, and because England compared to Germany, the way that they view black culture is so different. Like in Germany, they love it. They're so intrigued by it. They're like, they want to know everything about it. Like, where did you come from? What did you do? Because remember, there's a lot of Germans in Jamaica, for instance. Like over here, and even in America, to a certain extent, it's very those black people over there, and it's separate, and it's like your culture. Whereas in Germany, it was very because of the army base. Everyone, like, the white kids were dressing like black people. Like everyone was very hip hop. Oh no! Oh shit! No! Oops. Yeah, because I didn't realize we've actually gone over time. I thought we were going to be finished by now. Shit, I was supposed to expect on a call. But anyway, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Say.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, because I just realized the time. Bloody heck! I didn't realize we were talking this long. God.
No, just okay. We go to the last one. This is I Surrender. I think it was a real. I love the duet. I love the vibe. I love the energy from that. It's really attractive. Like, wow, we don't really get those types of the vibe. I wrote down sexy duet. How did that sort of come about? Because it was a really, really, yeah, as I said, whole Love Jones type of thing.
Yeah, I know, and that's exactly. So if you think about it, the album starts with "Find It Over You." I'm not the one. I remember. Rhythm of Change. Then You're Not Coming Home with Me Tonight. But then to I Surrender, which is kind of funny because I'm saying I'm not coming home with you, but then I surrender. But the thing of where I'm finally in a place where, if everything in life, be it my with my partner for 2 years, I'm letting go of trying to be this person that has to prove themselves to anybody, and like I'm surrendering to someone. I'm surrendering to myself, but I'm also surrendering to someone that is allowing me to be myself.
Mm.
So hence why when you feel the touch, like and I'll follow you if you wait for me. Like you know, black women, listen, don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Listen, it's like literally, I've become softer. I'm in my soft girl era, even though I'm still quite early, but I'm in a place of like, I don't have to argue with you. It's okay. You don't get it. It's fine. You know, I've done all my having to prove myself and you know, I don't have to do that anymore. This is why the album. A lot of people say, "Why is there only 7 songs on the album?" Oh, it's like an EP, but like this, like 7 songs is actually an album, and I think I have nothing else. I had nothing else to say. There's no point in me having these filler songs in between, and it's like a 23-4 minute listen, and you go back to it again because it's like, and the more you listen to it, the more you just let it play, and the more you just allow it to just kind of sink in and you start to realize like, oh, a lot of us will resonate with each of those songs at some point in your life. You
Yeah.
know, be it, you know, surrender if you meet someone, or even if it's not in a relationship, but even just a job, or you surrender to something that is for you. You know,
Mm.
that's what my love story is about.
Yeah, I think it doesn't have to be, 15, 16 songs like they did in the 90s. One of my all-time favorite albums was Keith Sweat's Make It Last Forever, and it's just 8 tracks. And then
Yes,
Sky's debut album, which 8 tracks, make the Trill album, 8 tracks.
Anita
And then
Baker,
we got into the, pardon?
Anita Baker, 8 tracks.
Yes, and then we got into the mid 90s and they would just, I think because they had CDs and they wanted to make sure people didn't copy them or so, but it had 15 tracks, 15, and then you have to like, okay, I like 7, 8 of them, but these are the 6 I can do without, and then it kind of downgrades the album. So just to have it short and sweet and and every song could be a single is a really good an excellent piece of work.
And you know, because when you were saying that, people might listen to this interview and be like, "Oh God, did she ever find herself? Did she ever know?" When you listen to this album, you'll know that I'm giving you 7 songs, telling you exactly what it is. There's no fillers in between. So I think that would answer their question if you listen to it. Yes, she has.
Yeah.
She's every song telling you every single song is telling you what it is.
I, I, I guess just finally as we wrap up, so when I'm not doing this, I work with the NHS as a mental health therapist,
Oh,
mainly with
amazing.
children under 20, in camps, and I think part of and I started this during lockdown because as a way of inspiring people who were going through hard times, and so when you hear your favorite recording artists talk about their journey and the
Mm.
ups and downs, there was a sense of inspiration. For yourself, when you had those moments of not feeling satisfied with the industry and having to take a hiatus because things were challenging, how did you deal with those low moments of maybe depression or things like that?
See, this is the thing. I didn't even realize I was depressed. But my sister used to say to me, "You're depressed," because I could sleep a lot. I could sleep all the time. I'd eat, drink a lot, you know, do stuff, do stuff that I shouldn't be doing. And then, but then I'd sleep and I'd just be numb. And I realized because whoever was around me just wasn't. It was just making me self sabotage a lot. So, and then I realized someone would hit me and say, "Oh, I like your song," or someone said they want to work with me, and that would then sometimes temporarily get me out of whatever I was in. But in the moment that was over, I'd kind of go back into that little slump again, you
Mm.
know. Because I was always looking for like, and to the point where I'm thinking, God, am I seeking validation for people to make me feel? Because I never used to. Before I'd go out and do, I'd never wait for someone to tell me that they like something. I'd just get on with it. Like no one had to. I'd never wait for someone to tell me they like something, they didn't like it. I was always on the go. But I realized I've done so much stuff that I've done it with, and no one. Every time it happened, they got what they wanted from it, and then they kind of discarded me and did their thing. And when it was time for me to ask, but they didn't, and I'm like, oh wow, I need to start learning from this now because this doesn't make any sense. Like Or are you really serious? Do you really want to make? Are you really an artist? Are you like, what is this? And then I think it's only this time round when I really started to realize like there's a reason why I think, because when I'm saying trust the process and trust yourself and listen to yourself, I can't say that until I've actually done something myself that I've really trusted the process of, when I've been numb or done sleeping all day and maybe missed an opportunity, but then not cared if I missed it because I know something else is coming, because I've always somehow felt, I never know. There was only a few times when I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? But only because I was I was hungover and I was feeling like shit, and I'm like, oh, for that moment. But then when I'm back to normal, like, fuck, that was yesterday, back to normal. Do you know what I mean? It's always usually when you're in the recovery phase. And I realized, first of all, me and substance, me and I'm not supposed to do all those things, to be honest. I try to drink sometimes, but it's not for me because I'm naturally a high-spirited person. I'm naturally
Oh, you are?
yeah, naturally, I wake up like this. My partner's like, for fuck's sake, seriously, I just woke up. He just chopped up just for 5 minutes. So I'm very and I'm in this place a lot recently. A lot of people around me, they love that side of me. There was a point where a lot of people were making me feel really guilty or weird for being, as you said, free spirited and happy. And I was happy all the time. And I'm like, oh, I've experienced things in my life that I've had to get over, and I've understood the purpose of those things. And what's the point of me being depressed about it? It's another day. There's so much things going on in the world that have it worse than me, man. So I refuse to waste the energy on something that, it's not gonna help me move forward. So now I'm in that place.
Yeah, I think one of the things is so as I say, I work in CAMS, children's mental health, and I discover kids who struggle with the how their personality is somewhat different from what the norm,
Mm.
and they feel like, well, if I confine myself and be like everyone else, I'm not myself, and but if I be myself, I may get ridiculed and put down. So what do I do? And actually, that's a challenge. I mean, I was doing a master's 7 years ago, and that's when I got diagnosed with dyslexia. But all of a
Oh,
sudden, it was like, so all through primary school, secondary school, and university,
yeah.
I had no idea why I was struggling, and all the bad reports I got from school all came back, and it was like, it's not my fault.
It's not your
There's a
fault.
reason why I was there. So I come across kids who aren't diagnosed with, say, ADHD or autism,
Mm.
and later on, we found out, actually, I think you might have a diagnosis. And it's like, oh, so that's why I act differently.
Mm.
And so it's okay to be, people might not understand, but as long as you understand and find
Yeah.
your lane and stuff like that. So I can imagine how challenging it could be for yourself having a different outlook and stuff.
Yeah, no, it
Um,
wasn't for me for a long time because people just didn't understand, like, what you were so freaking happy about. What the hell? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, because, like, as you said, no money. Because I saw my mum build, like, my mum's one person, when she does that, she'll create something from scratch and become a boss. But then when she started realizing when she was around the wrong, and what I learned from that is that when she was around the wrong energies, it made her then just become numb and not want to do it anymore. And I've
mm,
realized, I learned from that very quickly. I realized what energies are for me. So when I see that someone is not pouring into me the way I'm pouring into them, I keep it moving. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not upset because I know that they don't understand my energy, and they don't know. Maybe later down the line, they're going to be like, oh, damn, when you was going to tell me that at the time, I get it now. But they usually only realize it later when I'm gone. And it's nice, it's fine that you get it then, but I can't allow that to, because sometimes I'd stay there for too long and it would end up making me like invisible. And I'm not looking after myself because I'm trying to make them feel good about themselves.
mm,
And that's one thing that I definitely learned very quickly, is that as much as I want to pour love into everybody, I can't save everyone. So
yeah. Okay. Well, Terry, I always ask in my interviews by asking my guests that if you were, I won't say stuck in an elevator, but if you had to wait and you needed to watch your favorite movie, what would that be? What's your favorite movie, all-time favorite movie?
yeah, I'm a movie person. I'm into my black and white movies. It's funny because I was watching Color Purple the other day, and again, Whoopi Goldberg, she introduced me to Lauren Hill because of Sis Act too. So she's one of my favorite. I kind of related to Celia a little bit. Like at one point, the little kind of awkward, like she's in her little weird thing, but at the same time, in the moment when she comes out of her thing, she goes, "Don't you dare! Anything that you touch is gonna curse you." So and so that movie, when I think about it, it makes me emotional. So I think it will be Color Purple.
Yeah, you know that end scene when they
Back to
sing.
you, when we go
Oh
back to you,
goodness. Always There's a tear down my eye.
Sister, you're blowing my mind. Sister, you're one of a kind. Me and my sister say it.
Sugar Avery. Yeah, I couldn't even watch the remake because I'm like, you can't touch a classic. I
I was
mean,
like, how dare you? I don't want to know exactly.
because
No, I feel bad to say this. I hope they don't see this. I'm like, bitch. Like, no. But so some things you just don't touch, isn't it?
yeah, I couldn't watch, because yeah, as I said, it does bring me to tears.
Yes.
I love a redemption story. I love the fact that Mr. sort of like changed his ways, got the letters, he posted them and then got the sister yeah, and when he, oh goodness, that
Yeah.
whole stuff. Yeah, I
That's
love.
true. When you
Yeah,
think about it, and the thing is, the movie is a 3 hour long, but like, there's not a moment that you can't miss the moment in that movie because
no,
every
yeah,
moment is important.
yeah,
Every single thing. And remember, nowadays when you watch movies, it's like there's so much shit, so much shit out there. Yeah? It's like
yeah,
it's so upsetting when a movie like that, you think, really? Like
yeah,
those movies, and you wanted to listen, you wanted to watch the
yeah,
movie from beginning to end, and you were awake, you were alert, you're paying
yeah,
attention.
yeah.
Now they fall asleep after 2 minutes. It's
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that's like, yeah, it's like I watched the reason. Then the final question I asked is that all-time favorite song. So not a Terry Walker song, but just mine is "The Lady in My Life" by Michael Jackson. So I know my favorite
You
song.
know
So
me, you know me. No, I'm joking. You know what? One of my, oh my god, my all-time favorite song. Do you know what? It might have to be "Take It From Me." Someday we'll all be free by Donny Hathaway. Take it from me, one day we'll all be free. Because
okay,
it's a hopeful song. It's like his voice, his tone, Donny Hathaway's tone does something to you. Like he did that vibrato, like him and Stevie, but he's got a different kind of. And
mm,
when he sings those hopeful, yeah, and actually optimistic by Sounds of Blackness as well.
okay,
Every time, like it brings me to tears because there's a hopefulness in it. It's as long as you keep your head to the sky, even when the drum can do, there's a hopefulness in it. I love, like yourself, I love hope. I love hope, and
yeah,
I love.
yeah,
I cry every time I see something. Every time I see the underdog winning that they underestimated, I cry like a baby. I can't help it. Like Dreamgirls, I start crying. Crying uncontrollably, like it's ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. My favorite film is Schindler's second. Color Purple is my second favorite. My all-time favorite is Schindler's List
Really? Oh,
because of the redemption. Liam Neeson, I think, he's like, he went from trying to sell and make money, then he realized wasn't worth much.
just watch that then.
And then at the end, he's like, he was like, I could have sold this for 5 people. And I'm in tears, just like, yeah, so somebody has changed and redeemed
Understanding.
himself. And they said, you've done more than enough. And he still thinks that's why, as I say, I love redemption. I love people changing that
Yeah.
sense of hope that, we can all change and make a difference.
Oh, true. And it's funny you said it because this is the reason why I think when I look at my love stories, like a lot of people that when I first didn't get the amount of people that have been calling me now that I haven't spoken to, that kind of written me off and thought she wasn't serious.
Wow.
They're calling me because they know I know they've listened to it and they see the difference. They see that I've come back to myself, and I know that that's that change that because I thought that those people would they just she's not serious, she's lost it, she's gone. But they see now like it can happen, and when you start to understand what I don't know, faith and spirit, and when you start to understand energies, and you allow yourself to heal in the right way, and also sometimes when someone does, sometimes you read something happens in the room, you can read the energy, but you don't know what it is. But
Mm,
something you just know it's not right, but you
yeah.
can't put your finger on it because you might have never experienced it. So you have to experience it a few times for you to understand. Okay, that's what that is. And that's kind of what my love story and where it's been. It's been so many moments of me experiencing things that I couldn't articulate and understand. And now every time I see this one, I'm like, okay, you're okay. Okay, no, you meant that. Even gaslighting. I only found out what gaslighting meant maybe like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, what does
And
that mean?
people used to say all the time about, oh, this person's gaslighting you. You know gaslighting?
No, I've
You
heard
know
it,
when
but
someone tries to make you think you're crazy, like so you might put something there and then they take it when they go, but I put that thing there. No, you didn't.
oh, wow. So they can
They try
okay.
to make you, yeah. And people used to do that to me a lot, like because I know like if someone would do something that was blatantly like a bit shady or a bit condescending,
Mm,
and I'm someone I think to the point I might have Asperger's or something. Because I instantly call you out. I'm like, Why did you do that? Well, what do you mean? I didn't do that. But you did. And because I don't know how to let it go, because I never to let it go, eventually those people used to kind of tell me paranoid. But then eventually I'm like, no, I read signs properly because I'm not a shady person. I'm not a bad mind. I'm not a mean person. So if I say anything to you, it's usually because you said something to me that made me react to you. I'm a positive person. I am.
If you found out that you had Asperger's, how would that feel like?
I'd love it. I think it's amazing. I think, think about it. Their minds are extraordinary. Listen, I'll actually be honest. I think it's amazing. Think about how they see the world and how they view things. And they're so, is it analytical is the word when you say when
Yeah,
someone's just,
yeah, they can. Yeah,
they
the
think
reason,
such a
yeah.
thing.
So as I said, I've been working in mental health for the past 10 years, and so we went through this whole journey, and the fact that you said that at the end, it's like I can't give a diagnosis, but as I said, I can see a lot through your story and your personality that says to me like, wow, if you got it, I could bet a house that you get the diagnosis, but
No,
it in a positive way because it shows the fact, and as I mentioned about myself being dyslexic, I saw my superpower. So I'm creative, but I'm not the detailed person. So I know, back in the days I tried to do everything and I struggled. Once I got the diagnosis, oh goodness, I felt like now I know what I can do and I know what
yes,
I can't do.
yes,
And that made me become more of an advocate for, say, young kids who were in
yes,
school getting into
yes.
trouble, and I'll have heard their story and I'll tell to the school, you know what, there's a reason why they're acting this way.
Mhm.
So we need to make changes to support them, not to
Yes.
get them to conform and stuff like that. So, um, but yeah, and so unfortunately, women and girls don't get diagnosed because you're easily able to conform. You can
Yeah,
fit
yeah,
in
yeah.
if you need be, but then at a certain stage, like, yeah, I'll do what I
Yeah,
want.
yeah, no, it's the
But
truth. It's the truth.
yeah,
Yes, it's the way that we've kind of been conditioned, isn't it? It's true, especially as black women. We've had to learn to adapt no matter
yeah,
where
to
we are.
let it down. Yeah, if it's a boy, they're acting up, and people are, what's wrong with this boy?
Mhm.
Let's do a check, and like, okay, so that's why
Yeah,
boys and
yeah,
men get more diagnosed. But it in a way it explains your free spirit and stuff. But there's a level of creativity. It's almost like the level of creativity is open up in a different, like J.K. Rowling's, so she's a prime example. She just writes
mm,
all this Harry Potter stuff and it comes
mm.
easy for her. But then she's really frustrated on, this transgender stuff because it's almost
I know,
like that's
yeah,
how
no,
it
and
is. You can be creative in this way, but you have one stick and you don't let it go.
yeah,
But it's understandable. But yeah, but actually, but it shows the light, the energy, but also the fact that, hey, you know what, you do great things, and then you don't let anything bother you. So I appreciate
no.
your story.
I
Appreciate.
know, and it's so weird because, as you said, sometimes when people want me to talk on panels and stuff, and they want me to be like, I'm like, guys, I'm gonna be that other narrative. I'm gonna be another narrative for you. It's not gonna be the obvious narrative, the ones that did this and studied that, and they went down this road. Because remember, there's no right or wrong for being a creative. And this is
Yeah,
one thing that we have to stop doing, telling people, oh, so how did you? Like, I was classically trained. The moment anything too much control, I realized it's like it's all great. I'm very when I learn something, I'm very good at learning something, and I
yeah,
when my mind's on it. But the moment I'm not interested,
yeah,
there's no
yeah.
way.
No, it
But when I
happened.
want to do something, I'm
Yeah,
gonna do it. So
yeah,
that's what I realized with myself. So like when my mom said to me about the GCSE, I got 13 A to C. And usually me to sit there and thinking about stuff, are you mad? I ain't got time. I don't want to do that. But when I want to do something, it's happening,
yeah, yeah.
But,
It makes
I actually got to make this phone call because they're waiting for me to
Yeah,
make.
no, no, it's fine. Okay, just where can people follow you, and where can they get the album? And are
Um,
we expecting visuals on any tours?
Yes. So you can follow me. I'm Terri Walker on Instagram. Everything else is nonsense. Twitter's a joke, isn't it? Twitter, Facebook, hardly on it. But I'm Terri Walker on Instagram. I've got my radio show, The Melting Pot, on Soho Radio, and I've got my night at Picture Brixton if you're in London, in Brixton, and my album's on all streaming platforms. There's vinyl as well. But if you go into my link, you'll see all the links
Okay,
in my Instagram. So.
okay. Well, I'm in Kent, but I will try and make it down to Brixton
Oh yes, please. When I have a show, I'll let you know. You'll be my guest of honor.
well, please, if you let me know in time, then I will.
I'm going to.
I'll make my day up. Well, Terry, it's been.
Oh,
I will keep in touch. I really enjoyed the time.
please.
No, yeah, I really enjoyed speaking to you and hearing your journey. So, Yes, I will. Yeah, I'll be in touch. But I know you've got your phone call to make, and
Yeah.
so
Even at the time, just how much we enjoyed the conversation. Even at the time, it's nearly 2 hours.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
I
On
think it's 2
average, my
hours.
my interviews are generally 2 to 3 hours with my American guests. It's
Oh,
yeah. So yeah. So yeah. We it's. I think I was Tim and Bob. I was on for 4 hours. I didn't go to finish until 3 o'clock on Sunday morning
they're
because
amazing. But
yeah,
come on, to be fair, but their history, their legacy, that could go on forever. Can we look at it? That's just legendary. You
yeah.
have some. I'm like, you want to interview me? Look at the people that you've got on here. Like, wow, good honor. Thank you.
The thing is that I don't get to interview, but your story's been really fascinating, especially as a British artist. So, but
Oh, thank you.
yeah, so I'm going to enjoy, pushing and promoting this and your album. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So anyway, when the visuals come out, let us know, let me
Yes,
know, so we can really try and also push that as well.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All
It's been
right.
a pleasure. Seriously, thank you. See, this is what my love story's done. It's introduced me to people like yourself. See, and I've not had that in a long time. Where people actually, and this is what I want. I don't want to talk to people that don't know. So tell us about your life, but they've never done any studies. You know what I mean? They don't know nothing about what I've done. Those are the kind of people I used to get. Is to interview me, just knowing about one thing and not knowing about anything else I've done. And thank you.
Don't worry, Terry. Anyway, I know you have a phone call to make, and
Yes.
yeah, but we'll keep in touch as well.
All right, my love. Have a good one.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between.
Us for even loving us, on which I did miss you.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple of pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay.
They don't understand what Joseph Boys and winning all spirits.
play it. I mean, I love all different genres.